Is that my pen? You want? I'll trade you. I don't like black.
Very well. All right,
Yeah,
this
blue's
is
like
the
my
6
thing.
o'clock monthly meeting of the Celebration CDD. Can you do a roll call?
Yes. Jack McLaughlin,
Present.
Greg Pilak,
Here.
Cassandra Stark,
Here.
David Hume,
Here.
Tom Tucson.
Here.
And we also have audience members.
And good rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right.
Good.
We have a motion on the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second. We need an amendment. Brenda sent a note saying to strike item 7D as in Delta. Is that correct, Brenda? It's not ours?
No, it's not ours.
Yes, sir, that is correct. Thank you.
All right, so we can strike that. Any other amendments?
Which one is it?
7D.
Delta.
7D.
Okay.
Hearing no additional amendments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, public comment period. Anybody in the room that would like public comment, if you could just state your name and Carrie's the microphone on there? You just state your name, address, and 3 minutes, please.
Carl Amendola, 1595 Castile. On Saturday, I'm requesting full reimbursement for a tree I had to take down. And I wanted to go through my side of the story. It might take more than 3 minutes though. On Saturday, August 10th, I received a text from my neighbor with pictures. Robert Sky said there was a tree that was about to hit my house and he was concerned it would slide off and hit his house. He contacted Town Hall, CCDD, and no one called them back. I called the HOA and CCDD emergency number at 3:28 p.m. And here's my call detail record. So, because there seems to be okay. And I asked my neighbors, could they please document, since I wasn't here, I'm in Buffalo, New York, for part-time. And it says, can you please document what happened? Okay. So Anne Marie Smith, who I put this in an email, I asked Angel to forward it to everyone on the board prior to this meeting, 2 emails. And this is what Anne Marie Smith's recollection was. On Thursday 8th, there was the storm. Her neighbors, the Falcones, notified us of a tree in front of Carl's house that was significantly leaning towards the house and were concerned that the neighbors advised the landscapers that Exquisite inspect the tree, but again, it wasn't in their scope of work, okay? We checked with several other neighbors to try to get a hold of me. I advised the neighbors that I would call Celebration Town Hall on Friday to report the issue. I called the Town Hall at 10 a.m. on Friday, the incident. I was advised to contact CCDD. I immediately contacted CCDD and explained the situation, advised the matter needed immediate attention and could not wait till Monday. I left my name, address, phone number, and I was advised someone would call me back. I did not receive a voicemail. I spoke with someone who took a message and repeated the tree was not located at my house and provided Carl's address. Friday at 10:12 a.m., I received a return call from Jasmine. I advised the tree next to the road, which is in the easement area, was severely compromised and needed immediate attention. I explained that I was not the homeowner. I understood the owners to be out of town. I took a photo of the tree and its proximity to the house. I explained to Jasmine this needed to be handled today, Friday, to mitigate damages. She's a State Farm insurance agent too. The tree was an immediate threat to the house and could not wait until the next week due to the liability it posed. The forecast for rain over the weekend would likely compromise the tree further and cause damage to the house. I stressed the urgency of the situation and provided my name and address and phone number. I was not contacted by anyone at CCDD after I spoke with Jasmine. Okay, so then she said she talked to Exquisite Landscaping, said it was out of their scope of work and they couldn't act on it, okay? So we got this in an email. That's Anne Marie Smith. Now, my immediate neighbor who's a flight attendant, got home Saturday, and he's the one that emailed or texted me. I was out of town late last night on August 9th. I was unaware of the situation until Saturday the 10th. I first noticed the tree around noon. I took a picture and submitted the request on the My Celebration app, which you guys were just talking about. The request was $12.84 under the topic trees, fallen trees, and limbs. Now, it's my understanding, talking to CROA, you wrote the application, and if something hits that category, it's automatically routed to CCDD. Okay?
Yeah.
The ground was, and the roots were heaving up and down. It would calm down while the wind would stop for about 2 to 3 feet from my house. Given the earlier storm in the morning and saturated wet ground, I was concerned the next gust would bring the tree down. Okay, at 12:30, I texted Carl a picture of the tree, and I knew his wife were out of town. I told them they might not be aware of the situation. After talking to my neighbor, Jeff Smith, I called CCDD, Jeff Smith's Anne Marie's husband, at 3:24 p.m. at 407-566-4392. Left a voicemail with Jasmine. I never heard anything back from Celebration Town Hall until I was CC'd on an email from Rose Velasquez. She's our HOA leader. I never heard back anything from CCDD. It appeared to me the tree would have fallen with the next big breeze. It appeared to me that the roots broke and it would hit Lamendola's house. It would slide down and hit my house at 1593 Castile and hit my side window and porch. Given the lack of information and action from CCDD or Town Hall, I was relieved when Carl Amendola made the responsible decision to have it cut down. In my opinion, it needed to happen as soon as possible. Okay, so I barely know these people. I see them because I'm a part-time resident. Say hi. So they were really nice to go through all that for me.
Are we okay, folks, with doing an additional 3 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, let me give you some rhetorical questions here. Here's 5 questions I have. I'm 2 houses away from the community pool, and I've lived in Celebration for 20 years. I've seen other trees staked with caution tape. Why wasn't mine? Okay, here's the picture that Anne Marie Smith took. She called in the situation, okay? The tree is literally at a 45-degree angle, ready to go through my front window. It could have fallen on a child riding their bike to this. That's what we were concerned about, to the pool, to the 2 doors from me. Okay. Brian from X Swivel Lawn, I talked to him, and he said when he went with, because he manages a lot of the different properties, he said mine was the worst situation in all the service areas, and to contact Russell about reimbursement. Okay. He said he would help me. Angel said the tree was coming down Monday morning. He told us in an email, but it was already removed. Why did Jasmine say in an email Monday afternoon that it was scheduled this week? She would have said, hey, we already were there this morning and it was down, or it was supposed to come down on Monday. Why would she say it was scheduled this week? When I called her and I got an email from her dated at 3 o'clock on Monday. And then in September, when Angel recounted everything, she said that it was coming down on Monday. We went out there and somebody took the tree down. So it doesn't connect, right? The other thing is, Angel said there was no way to contact me and they don't reach out to outside entities. I said, why don't you call CROA? Well, Robert Sky used your wonderful My Celebration app. He put all his contact information in at 12:30. It was going to hit his house. Why didn't anyone contact him? Okay. And they don't reach out to outside entities. Outside entities, I pay my water bill, and because it keeps getting screwed up, so I have them pay it electronically. You have my email. So what were we going to wait for the tree to come through my house potentially and send me a letter saying, oh, when we were taking down the tree, it went through your house. You had no way to contact me. You had a way to contact me. In fact, your sign says CCDD and ECDD. You guys, they all roll up to Angel. I don't understand that. You have my contact information. Okay? And, you know, Crow told me you wrote the app. And if you read your statement on the Crow app in the app, it says that you're both governed by the same Florida statute, chapter 190. You're all in the same building. Okay? But it doesn't matter. Robert called it in at 12:30 on Saturday. Why didn't anyone contact him? Okay. In order to take down the tree, you would have to trespass on my property. All right, so you're gonna come on my property. It could have, because it was real compromise. What happens if it would have went through my window? You had no way to contact me? You mean in an emergency situation and celebration? CDD, who's responsible for infrastructure, has no way to contact its constituents? So, I mean, I'm just telling you what my standpoint is on this. I think you should pay. I think that, you know, it's a process, like you were talking earlier. It's a communication issue. That's what I told Russ. It's a process issue. I was a consultant for IBM for 30 years. You guys have process issues. Don't worry about spending more money on the app. You got to communicate this to people. In fact, it's so confusing. When I called Rose, she emailed Russ and said, I don't know what to do.
If we can wrap it up, just
Yeah,
try to get.
anyway, I just wanted
extra time. Yeah.
I wanted to have my day in court to
Yep.
tell you my side of it, okay? And I think part of the problem is the easement, you are responsible for the tree, the homeowners is responsible for the cutting the lawn and trimming. No one knows who to call. And he was saying that too. That's the problem. And I had to eat $518 because of that.
Thank you. Do you have anything?
On this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So when it first started is he was out of town, my understanding.
Carl?
Yes, his two residents were calling. First, they were calling Croa. They did not call our emergency number because Russ and I both get contacted anytime. We've been contacted numerous times through our emergency number. We get text messages and phone calls, and I can tell you they do not stop until one of us answer. And then we found out later they called the Croa emergency number or town hall. I'm not sure which one. When it was put through, they did go out on Friday, Russ?
Late Friday.
Late Friday when we got the message. The neighbor who actually called left a voicemail. She didn't leave her contact info or anything. Jasmine went into our call log, Sunshine, and found out exactly who that was that called at that specific time. Did call her back within 11 minutes and basically said, we're going to get somebody out there. I don't know verbatim the conversation. I was not there. And Russ and United went out there on late Friday afternoon, determined that it was not going to come over. It was the carpet, looked like a carpet, you know, but it was in no danger to fall over. Am I saying this accurately?
Yeah.
So they said that we'll be back on Monday. This was late Friday afternoon. They were going to go back on Monday.
Said that to him.
But no one contacted
Hold on,
us.
hold on, sir.
So at this time, again, we have a call in from a neighbor. It's not even their home.
Right.
It's a neighbor of this resident. So Russ came back. Like I said, it was late afternoon on Friday when they went out there. I was not in the office. And then they were scheduled to go back on Monday, United and Russ, and determined that they actually thought the tree could be restaked because the roots, to my knowledge, weren't exposed or coming out. Yeah, it was 50, whether it could be reset or if it needed to be removed. And they went back on Monday and the tree had been removed.
And when you said they made the determination on Friday
Mhm.
to come back on Monday,
Mhm.
are you saying they called back to the woman, the neighbor?
I want to say,
I don't think, you know,
first of all,
Saturday we're
that's not,
closed.
yeah, we're closed.
I know Saturday, but
Yeah.
I'm saying Friday when you went out. Did anybody call back at that point on Friday to say, hey, we're
I
gonna
don't
come
think
back
we
on
had
Monday?
even the phone number.
Yeah,
What do you-
other than the neighbor who called in, which we wouldn't have communicated with the neighbor anyway, we would have communicated with the homeowner. And as you all know, and most people in Celebration, we do a lot of tree work. We don't notify residents when we're going and doing tree work and those types of things. But again, the tree was a 50-50 whether we could save it and reset it or if it needed to be removed. But at the time that they went out there Friday afternoon, there was no danger or health and safety, or they would have done it right then and there because that's our process. So that's where it's at.
Right, look up celebration at
Hold on, sir.
1284.
So. I guess I want to finish this conversation. I hear we have questions, we'll ask you. I just don't want to keep having interruptions. Because I think, right, so just proceed.
Well, did anybody have any additional questions?
I don't, number one, I don't think this tree could have been saved. It's too big. You can't. It is gonna come down. It's just too big. Just once the roots. Moving on that.
Here's another picture.
I think, I've seen the other pictures. I've got these. I think there's like 3 or 4 pictures on this one. Now, I don't have any other questions. I'm just, I guess it's just the communication piece.
And the communication, when he says, you know, first of all, our utility department cannot give out personal information. That's just,
government board dispute.
just because we work in the same building does not mean I can run over to utilities and go, hey, give me Cassandra Stark's. We can't give out that information and they can't give it to us. That's just the way it is. And with the district, you all know, some residents may not know, we don't have a platform to, because we're governed by public records laws, and council can gladly explain that to whomever. We push out information on now the My Celebration app. We push out information on Facebook. We have zero information on residents in this community. That is governed by HOAs. They're a private entity. They have residential information. Districts do not have that, and its celebration is not unique. There's no district that keeps that information because of public records laws. We don't do it. Districts don't do that. So we don't have a list of all residents that live in Celebration to be able to communicate with them one-on-one. We don't. If they leave names and numbers and contacts, yes, absolutely, we will return calls, call them back in that nature, but we don't have a mechanism like that.
So if we're gonna take any action on it, I think we need to do it in the, if we choose to do it in the business matters piece, but does anybody else have any questions for the president?
Well, sure, I will ask our staff, if this was my house, this looks pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
Well, hold on, I mean,
It may
I'm
look
trying to
dangerous,
give you
but
the,
we deal with, even with the hurricane now, we're dealing with 50, 60
but
trees
how
like that.
did we determine that this was not a safety hazard?
We just figured it could wait till Monday. It was late Friday when we went and looked at it. Had we thought, like Angel said, if it was gonna fall over in the next 4 hours or something, we would have just whacked it down right then and there.
Okay, so.
Then we took the landscape company with them.
So we had a landscaper who's versed in this type of
That's who went out with us.
analysis. And then in their expert opinion, they said that this is something that didn't cause an immediate concern. It could be handled on Monday. That's the official position.
But was the determination made on Friday, you were gonna cut it down on Monday?
We were gonna do something Monday regardless of what it was, restake it.
Either restake it or cut it.
Yeah.
Correct. Because we have had trees like that, by the way, that have been reset and they've been braced and they're perfectly fine. But again, that determination was going to be one or the other was going to be made on Monday when they went out.
So my question would be, what else did you expect to learn on Monday going back out there, whether or not to restake it or cut
We
it?
didn't even have the manpower to cut it down right then. It was late.
No, I understand that, but as far as you're saying, you didn't
If
even
we were
know
gonna-
Friday afternoon if you were gonna restake it or cut it.
We're
What else were you expecting to
probably
figure
just
out?
dig it up a little bit more around the roots, and the roots were real close together to the trunk, and we just cut it down. There wasn't enough root mass.
Okay. You just didn't have
I
the.
mean, we've got, actually, you live out here, we've got trees that are like that from, like Charlie,
Mhm.
that are grown at an angle like that. They haven't fallen over. Been 20 years.
the tree was 2 feet from my house.
Well, the trees, like 3 feet from your house to start with, or 4 feet. I
No,
mean,
but it was a
your
2
house is
story.
very
Okay.
close.
Yeah, that's like-
That's fine.
Do you have any other questions?
So that would be, we'll discuss this in business matters.
That'd be my suggestion, put it.
Can I just make one more comment, Greg?
Briefly, please.
Yeah, right. And you have access to this, bring up celebration request 1284. It would have Robert's contact information. Right, they didn't have mine, but they would have his. Why didn't they contact him?
And that was put in on Saturday.
Yes.
We're
and
closed,
tell-
we're
yeah,
closed
well,
on
that's right.
Saturday.
Yes,
We're closed on Saturday.
but that's the emergency. If it says fallen trees and limbs, that's supposed to come right to you. You wrote the app.
No, no.
That's
No,
what-
we didn't write the app.
We didn't write the app. You keep saying that. We didn't write.
Yeah,
the
we
app.
didn't write the app.
Well, that's what Crowa told me.
Well,
They're
Yeah.
All right,
neither
we're-
pro or.
And
We're we're in this in business matters, and so
Okay.
any other public comments? In the room?
Sheree.
Good evening. I'm not official on the report because I didn't have anything to share, but obviously it's hurricane season. And so we may still have a couple more. We did have a resident reach out about an area that was kind of holding water. And so we did go out and take a look at it. And so I just want to remind everyone that anytime there is something that comes from these storms, if you're finding some area that's holding extra water that probably shouldn't, please let us know because we can check it out to see if it's breeding extra mosquitoes and, if there was some larvicide or something there. So just, keep an eye out for it and let us know. So there's some pocket that we would not have seen otherwise.
Can you do that? Because it did come up twice, one an email with Angel and me and a resident, and separately just a resident who reached out to me before the storm. In storm drains themselves, if the drains are, I don't even think they were backing up, it was just the water level from the drainage pond they were going to. You're getting water that was coming up in some of the drains and is sitting there. Are you guys able to treat the drains themselves?
Yeah, so we already do put tablets in storm drains around here.
Okay.
But again, as stuff starts to come up, it might be now outside storm drains just sitting on the street. So if it starts to get like really crazy,
Is that an as needed, or you just drop a tablet in every storm drain?
we do it in every storm drain.
Every one, okay.
I don't know how many hundreds of them we have around here.
Okay. Question.
So yeah, we do it in all of them, but again, stuff starts to overflow. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
If you see that anything that's kind of getting out of control, has been sitting there for days and days, then yeah, we should probably take a look at it, because it doesn't take much water and it doesn't take much time.
Yeah.
For them to get started. So I just want to bring that to your attention, so you can have residents let us know if something looks out of place, or if you see something.
I had a question, Angels, I think we talked about it. Because I know there's been a few complaints of the drivers going through town. They drive a little too fast, so it's not allowing the droplets to settle.
So we do have, we have GPS monitoring and everything in all the trucks. The way the sprayers are made, they are calibrated to spray within certain speeds. And I don't know if it's like 5 to 15 or whatever it is. So and they have it variable speed. So they're going slower, it comes out a little slower so that they're not spraying it all in place. But if they go faster, then it has to
comes out
come out.
faster.
So it's going to vary with their speed. And if they go too fast altogether, it cuts off. So it's made to make sure that, when if they come to a stop, they're not sitting in a stop sign and just keep spraying.
Right.
So it has some barriers to it to make sure someone's not putting out everything in one spot, or, not enough as it goes around. So
I think we talked at the
if it
last
stops
meeting.
spraying, then it's definitely going too fast.
I think we asked in the last time you were here, I think the concern was some residents seeing the trucks come and going like really fast down certain areas, so.
Yeah. And even
Unsafely
between
fast, or
traffic
just
also.
fast that it wasn't?
I think just fast,
Okay.
that maybe the residents thought that the spray wasn't
Yeah, well, not a
where it
safety thing.
should be, but that explains it.
So, but again, at any time that you let me know, we literally can go back in the record and say, let's see where that person was and what it looks
Yeah.
like. So it's something that we can.
Perfect.
Be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, as always, man. Do you have public comments in the room? Brenda, is there anybody online for public comments?
We have someone online, but he has not raised his hand.
All right, going once, going twice. Third-party reports and presentations. Crowa. Come on down, man. Be the next contestant.
This year.
I
To speak
don't-
about Cornwall.
Oh. Are you here as a homeowner, or are you here as a Crowa
No,
person?
well, I get more time as Crow, so.
Okay.
Oh, is that what you're gonna mention?
Working there. No, obviously, I'm the only Crow representative here, but before you ask me any questions, I just wanna say that I'm here, on behalf of myself and Kathleen Scipio from the foundation, to thank Cassandra. Because it's her last meeting, and we have this little thing called Community Connections that we do maybe every quarter. We started last January. It's with CROA, a CROA representative, the CDD representative, which is Cassandra, and Kathleen Scipio with the foundation. And I know CDD and Crow could be at odds with each other at times, maybe a lot. But the residents, new or existing residents, when they come to this community connection, leave with a positive vibe. Because there's all positivity spoken to the residents. It's not a lecture on CROA, it's not a lecture on anything. We talk about how we landed here in Celebration. Cassandra never even wanted to come here, and look where she is now. We talk about the responsibilities of CROA versus the CDD. So I just want to say, you guys need to keep this going, and I think Tom has authored. But this is a positive impact on the residents when they come. Like I said, they leave with their swag bag from the foundation and Crower because CDD can't, I guess, give out any gifts. But
We handed out pizza today. What are you talking
well,
about?
that was today, but at the community connection.
Careful who you sign up for.
So anyway, I just want to thank Cassandra because she's made an impact. This community connections has made an impact because people see that the three entities get along and walk away knowing that. So I just want to say thank you. And thank you, Cassandra.
Cecilia, that was so sweet.
Oh, okay.
Enjoy
What else
working.
you have for me?
Oh, hey.
I didn't know.
Oh,
I didn't know.
You missed it.
You gotta say all that again.
You gotta realize
Nice.
you're recording.
What else do you have?
What
What
you
else
say?
do you want to know?
Any
Last night, the board meeting.
I don't.
What else you got? What do you want to know?
What else you got? What do you want to know? Anything?
I don't know, any updates from you guys in general? Just
Real updates, fake updates.
real updates, I only want,
I
fact-based
don't know.
updates.
Tomorrow night on the agenda is the contract. The CJC agreement, which when I sat here was a little lesson about the water and you guys, how you pay joint with the salaries. That was a lesson. So it's like CJC contributions with Pro and Canoa. We're going to discuss the A51. We're going to discuss the renovations of the bathrooms.
Exciting stuff.
We got some good stuff.
Yeah, that is good, some good stuff.
But I will make it public knowledge because there's been so much information going around the community on the contract negotiations. We did reach out to council. I asked if they can reach out to council. And anything as far as voting on the contract, I need to recuse myself. So that's public. And I imagine that would probably be for the CJC also. And that's it. You have any questions?
Jack does.
I had some.
Yes.
35 of these signs were in the North Village median,
Oh,
easements and everywhere else. Dave, you brought in all kinds of signs.
do you know, I would love on Saturday and Sundays, or mostly on Sundays, to walk around with a mask over my face and pull those signs out.
You can do it with
He
Dave.
does it
He does
with
it
no
without the
mask.
mask.
Oh, you do down Waterside and all along Celebration Boulevard.
Can I tell you, years ago, Crower pulled them. They used park monitors.
We still do. You cannot imagine, we do.
35 signs on Sunday. They
You
weren't pulled.
cannot imagine the amount of signs. And I wish that the signs would just like pull the people, tell them to come and get their signs, and that's it.
Yeah, I think the problem is a lot of these companies are not the real estate companies in Celebration that know the rules.
Mhm.
They're all.
Because
Oh, you found
I literally follow the signs to the open house, knock on the door.
They weren't there, you went.
I did. I knocked on the door. Nobody answered.
So
All
we,
the signs were not.
we will be asking staff, because we're only in on Saturdays, Craig, you've got one person on Saturdays. So any Saturdays will be pulling, we just don't have anyone in on Sundays to do it,
Yeah.
and Sunday can be a hot day
So
as
I'll
well.
pass
So
that along about trying to get the pool monitors.
Yeah, it looks like it's primarily,
It's on the boulevard and it's on
it's usually,
Woodside.
it's the Celebration Boulevard, but both North Village and on the other.
And on the corner of Waterside and on the
Yeah.
corner of Market Street and Water Street with the arrows. It's just,
Can we also, is it too much to ask as we get some of these, I mean, particularly Angel, that there are a few major real estate companies in town. Can we just send a one-page love letter?
Thank you.
Please don't do this.
Well, the real estate companies in town abide by the rules.
Dave said.
Generally, they are, but I'm gonna say they've been good neighbors for the most part.
I'm not
And that's
gonna
why I
say
say-
names, you already have the names that I.
You're drunk.
Anything else?
It doesn't need to be an admonishment, just.
No, I just say
Yeah.
it penalizes them because they abide by the rules.
Good.
Very cool. Any other
Any other
questions?
questions?
We,
No.
by the way, we do have someone here for half a day on Sunday and they collect signs when they're here. So Saturday and Sunday, again,
Okay.
Yeah, but their function wasn't to be
No.
here for collecting signs.
it's not, but if they come across them, if they're working in an area, they'll pick up the
They get in a
signs.
lot of times 6 o'clock in the morning too.
Yeah.
So
So
they,
downtown
Every
first.
50, I'll throw in a 6.
so they don't come out till 10 o'clock in the afternoon and the morning.
So,
Sometimes.
so Celia, how many years have you been? And is this your
3 3/4.
3 3/4, almost 4? Almost 4. So thank you for what you do. It's
Oh, thank
it's
you.
not easy
Yeah.
being
Appreciate it.
in the public and being a volunteer.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate it.
so thank you for that.
Thanks. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
you.
Osceola County Sheriff's Department.
Nope.
Nobody here. We did have a call with Captain Calvis right after our last meeting.
Mm.
So we did talk about all the topics that we had brought up in the meeting. I think everybody's aware of the board. I'll just put it out publicly. So they are cutting, their plan is to cut in half the number of deputies they bring for Halloween. We don't control that. They admitted they didn't think that was going to be enough.
But the funny part was they're cutting theirs, but they would be happy
They
to
were begging
fill the
for us-
slots if we,
They were begging for us to pay for it.
Yeah. if we schedule extra details, they'll fill the slots.
So they didn't
But
have the
they're-
people, but
that's
they
right.
have the people.
That's right.
So they typically, last year, we have paid for 4 as long as I've been on the board, and they have they have brought anywhere from 20 to 25. Last year, he said they brought 25, and the after action report that was internal to the sheriff's department said
Wasn't enough.
the 25 plus 4 was not enough, so there really should be some number north of that.
Yeah.
And they're going south, and my response was, and Angel was there, was very clearly, hey, as a board, we really got no opinion on it. Personally, I think it's gonna be a problem, but that's up to the sheriff's department to figure that out.
Well, we do have an opinion, but there's nothing we can do about
That's
Yeah.
right.
it, right? I mean, it's-
Greg, can I just make one comment? I'm sorry.
Up there again.
Only because you're talking about this and I live right there on
Can you
Celebration
go to the
Avenue.
mic?
I mean, get it on tape.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because
So
this
we-
is important. I live, you know where I live? I live right between East Lawn and Waterside. Right there on Celebration Avenue. And I witness it every Halloween. The holdup is the 4-way stop signs on East Lawn and the 4-way stop sign on Waterside.
So I would encourage
Sunday
everybody who's
morning.
listening, they need to call the sheriff's department between now and Halloween, because we have no control over that.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, but in case.
I don't, and I appreciate, I
Yeah.
just don't want to litigate it, because I don't want people
No,
thinking
I'm
that we
just
control
saying,
it, yeah.
that's a major,
Yeah.
if they don't understand that, the sheriff,
I think they do.
They do.
you think?
He made it very clear, he understood where his
Oh, yeah.
challenges were, he understood where they needed to put their growth spots, and he understood that he had 10 people to bring, and that's what he was told.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
they went so far as to say, well, hey, do you think the county would kick in? So I sent an email to the county copying the sheriff's department leadership, and the county said the sheriff's department's got a budget. They can go figure it out.
That's
Okay.
right.
So again, just for anybody that's
Because you
listening,
guys, at the end of the day, on November 1st, it turns into social media drama, that it's your fault.
Yep.
Well, but the reality is that
we don't own the sheriff's department.
we don't, they
Right.
are responsible for county roads,
Okay.
so
Alright,
I know everyone has opinions, but. Can't control it.
We, unfortunately, we have a budget.
Roads.
We don't.
Well, and even if we did have a budget, I don't think it's our responsibility to do that. It's not a endorsed activity. And I think that's where some of the confusion came, is they thought it was a town endorsed event. It's just people trick or treating. So that's what it
Never
is.
has.
From all over.
From all over. Absolutely.
I have a question relating to the sheriff. We've asked for police accident reports for North Village. Did we get it?
I checked with Jasmine. I sent Ashley, can't say her, Wetzel, maybe, that we've asked for this report numerous times. Can we please get it? She has not even responded. I called the sheriff's department yesterday because I saw that Jasmine didn't have it for the agenda. No return call. Jasmine also said, because I checked with her right before she
Can you
left,
send an
like,
email
did
with
you
that?
ever get it? And she's like, no.
Can you, I mean, last month when it came up, it was only a week or two old. It was kind of reasonable to understand now that it's 6 weeks old, they should have that report. Can you email Kathy?
We're talking about the blotter report,
More than-
correct?
No,
No, I'm talking about the
the
accident.
accident report.
Oh, the
The
accident
one that took
report.
down
Yeah.
the street
If
lights
you
and
can
stuff.
Well, I asked for the blotter as well,
Yeah.
which we're
Blotter
still
too.
not getting either. So,
You can
Okay.
email the good captain.
How many accidents reports do we need, Russ?
1, 2, 3, 4, I believe.
And that's holding up
Carrie?
our insurance claims? Is that
yeah.
right?
Carrie, can you have Jasmine just go in the account we've already created and ask for those reports? She'll just need the addresses of where they happened and the day, and then maybe we can just do it through public records and not worry about getting it from the entity itself.
Next, we made multiple requests.
Yeah,
Let's
we can
explain to
try
the
that
audience.
way.
I think we were making some requests to the wrong agency.
Just explain it.
Instead of the sheriff's department.
And that's the message I got back today is, even though this was an accident and yes, we responded, we did our part. Now you have to contact FHP to actually get the physical report. So I got that message on something else I was inquiring about. So that may be the case.
Yeah, but we need that because that's how we get these.
Yeah.
Just to explain to the audience, Celebration drivers are not the most safe drivers. And this is dealing with 5 light poles that have been knocked over in 2 week period.
They're expensive too.
And it takes weeks for us to get them back.
That's right.
All right. Any of the sheriff's department? Consent agenda, do I have a motion?
Move to approve it. Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Who was the first on that one?
Tom said,
Tom,
he
okay.
beat me out.
Jack.
The pizza's getting cold.
All right.
All right. Business matters, item 7A, request for proposal for aquatic and aerator maintenance.
So I sent you all the scope. And essentially that is the scope. There was nothing that really needs to be added to it in staff's opinion. Other than what we discussed, which is, if you want, which is going to increase the price, obviously, of a contract if you want manual removement of any floating vegetation. They call them mats or something, but any of that, because typically that is outside of a contract, that would be an extra proposal to have manual removal. Usually they'll treat it, it dies and it looks kind of gross for a while. But if you want physical manual removal, then that's an additional cost.
I guess that depends on bad bids.
It happens every year. And every time we say, just go there and scoop it out. That is what.
We have given blanket approval to staff that the pond is completely covered. Just scrape it. We don't need to wait till next week.
Yeah, well, I
But
think, but I think,
That's a big expenditure in some cases.
so here's the thing. There's 2 different things to this. If it was all brown and treated, it is a period of time we'd have to go ahead and wait.
Right.
If it's completely light green, it's 2 problems with it being completely light green. One, right, but
Hasn't been
it has not been treated.
That's right.
And if you scoop that up, you're gonna be scooping it up again because the stuff is still in the water. So it needs to get treated. That's the biggest problem. And there's been a very long delay for things being treated. Now, again, if it's all brown and after a period of time, it still has, then we have to go ahead and clean it. But if it's light green, you're gonna be doing it twice
Well, so
without really treating the actual issue.
let's start back at the beginning.
Hear from them all.
Well, I don't know if we're ready for
Well-
Cross Creek to come up.
Yeah, this was just, you all wanted this on there because essentially at the last meeting, and we met with Cross Creek,
Right.
the unpleasantness of
That's what I want to hear
The
about first,
service.
was that the first conversation was talking to
Yeah,
Cross Creek. Are we
was
gonna
to
go
see
RFP or not?
if you were gonna go to RFP at this moment or put them out to bid. So, again, Russ deals with the majority, and Russ, I know at the last meeting, he told Tom, we were not happy with the service as staff members, so.
So in the past 30 days, did whatever.
Well,
meetings we had-
also, we found out we were dealing with the wrong person from Cross Creek.
How are we dealing with the wrong person?
Well, they
Don't
didn't,
know how, but he never
Well, we-
responded back, Derek.
yeah, hold on,
Let me rephrase that.
let's
We're
rephrase it.
not dealing with
Yeah.
the wrong person.
Okay.
They didn't present the right person for us to
Communication.
deal with.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
It was internal communication on their end, not ours.
So we feel we do have the right person now, but
I would say now that we got the right person, let's give them a month or two and see how it goes.
so the tricky thing too is.
Hurricane.
We have this 1 month, they came out a couple weeks before the hurricane. They did have 3 or 4 people that treated it, and a lot of stuff got cleared up when the hurricane happened.
Yeah.
So the problem now is that for us to go ahead and say, is it good or not? Well, everything's been blown to smithereens, so everything looks clear.
Right.
So,
Well, my opinion isn't so much right now, are the ponds good? Because there's just a natural cycle. The ponds right now are gonna be going down anyway.
correct.
That's correct.
My bigger question is the communication good? I'm glad to hear we've got the right person. I'm trying to figure out how we've had a contract with a vendor for a year and haven't had the right person. How did that?
We've been, yeah, no, that's what we came to
Yes.
understand when we were sitting in this meeting with the gentleman actually who's sitting in the back. And we're like, well, no, we communicated all this. And the answer was, oh, well, I didn't. So there was an internal breakdown on their side, not on ours. I didn't even know who this gentleman was, to be honest, because
The
I
only
didn't.
name we had was
was
the other
Derek,
person. That was
yeah.
the only person that was introduced in the documents and everything else.
That's correct.
I mean, because my $1 million question is gonna be, is us calling person A instead of person B? Are we gonna wake up and everything's good to go?
We just started.
My opinion, we were dealing with their sales rep, not their operations side.
That is
I think
correct.
There was a disconnect between what I can sell and what can actually be done.
That is correct.
And Angel is right, we get an invite to meet, and I'm like, who's this?
Yeah, I said the same thing. I'm like, I don't know who this is. And then we're sitting here, poor guy, we're like, who are you? And he's like, what do you mean?
So we didn't get a contract fulfillment.
Essentially, yes, but again, I think coming into this meeting, and Russ and I talked about it prior, because he deals with it in the majority, and I'm like, look, I'm gonna look to you to say, are you happy or are you not? And he's like, you know, had you asked him if the hurricane hadn't come through, he probably would have told you, go out to bid. But being that we had a hurricane, it's very hard to sit here and go, okay, it's bad. So I would say give them 30 days.
I mean, 30 days wouldn't have treated the ponds one way or another.
No.
Again, there wouldn't have been a lot of improvement in the ponds itself. I
Correct.
want to know there's improvement on the business side is where this broke down.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate,
On the
but
good part,
what
ask,
happened?
show up at the meeting and this is the first time.
Yeah, he is here for the first time.
Time after time after time,
Plus,
can't make it.
Yeah, I mean, there were months where we asked for someone to be here and you know, no one showed up, so.
The major one that had an issue was the one on Waterside, and that was treated, that was resolved.
Yeah,
Well, and that's what I say. I mean, my concern is, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but even getting folks to a meeting.
I'm not disputing
We're-
anything
we're
you're
following who
saying.
They're being told, and I'm saying this, kind of aiming this to the back of the room so that when he comes up, I want to hear something that's going to instill confidence, because my problem is going to be if we make a decision to go for 60 or 90 days and say, hey, we want to see how this shakes out. Number one, I'm really not going to know because we're in the cold months where hey, everything's going to look fine anyway, because naturally everything's going to look fine.
You're
And number
exactly
two,
right.
we'll now have spent the clock to make a change, because if we don't make the change now, really getting into next spring, we kind of need to do it now because those treatments need to start in January, February timeframe to get ahead of the curve.
Not negating anything that is coming out of your mouth. I agree. And Tom, myself, Carrie, we sat in this very room and we expressed all the same things, and we were ready to recommend to the board to make a change. So that's where we're at. Nothing happened on my end. I think what Russ is saying is, you know,
Russ has got a big old heart.
Well, no.
we give them an opportunity because the storm came through.
You know, I think too, they stepped up what they said they were gonna do. And, like to, you know, conversating back to the right people sure helps. They had actually.
so since you've changed the operation
Well, you know,
manager.
the email, somebody say, hey, blah, 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 and they say, okay, and you know, and you're like,
Okay,
this pond still looks like, you know what?
Right.
And then we find out, like Carrie said, it's not the field guy.
And I will say,
I don't
being that
think
he's-
changing right now.
yeah,
You would tell one way or the other, even if we went for another company, and we've already brought the thing up, how many companies is there left in Florida? So right at the moment,
I will say on the communication side, now that we have the right individual, he is responsive to anything that has been sent to him, Matt. But
Can I ask
outside
a
of that,
process question? Did we, to your recollection, did we have like a kickoff meeting when we first signed the contract? Was there like a kickoff meeting? Usually you'll sit down and say, okay, here's who's doing this, did we do that or no?
what do you mean?
When
A
we first-
kickoff meeting with the vendor?
With the vendor, when we first signed them under contract, did we bring them in the office right after we signed the contract and say, okay, let's talk about how this is gonna actually work? Because something like that would have flushed itself. I'm thinking from a process perspective.
Oh,
If we-
yeah.
If we didn't
No.
bring them in and have a conversation at first.
I think they're brought up.
No, but in their presentation, he brought, and that's why we were all under the impression that Derek was gonna be our,
I'm just trying to be
Accountant.
fair around the horn, just.
And,
Yeah.
and,
we
and,
messed up
and, and to add that we all had a meeting
with him
with the salesperson.
and drove
We never said
around,
anything.
No, we never said.
never
anything.
said a
So,
word.
I don't understand what that was about.
And we physically drove the ponds and showed him the areas and all of these things. And like Dave said, when he presented, that was our account manager. And poor guy, when he showed up, we're all like, who the hell are you? And he's like,
So you've been sitting quietly in the back and I appreciate that. You want to take the mic and throw any daggers back or anything?
So, I'm Matt Jones.
Welcome, Matt.
Nice to meet you, finally. I wanna apologize for that disconnect, that 100% on our part. How it typically works, Derek goes out, he'll get the accounts, and then he turns everything over to me. And then it was my job to reach out to you guys and introduce myself, and obviously that took too long to happen, so. But here we are now. I know, we started in June, so came in right at the summer months. Ponds are already in bad shape. We've been working diligently to try to get them back, back in good shape, but unfortunately we didn't see the results that we wanted, the first month or two. But now, I mean, we went out right before the hurricane came and Tyler did an inspection and we were seeing good results. So I was starting to get happy with what we were seeing, things were turning around. And with Waterside, SB 22, all the ponds that we talked about during our last meeting, all of those are resolved.
This 22, Russ, is that the one by the Catholic Church, back across the street?
Yeah, that's Waterside, South Village.
Well,
Brown's Waterside,
There's
SB
three
22 is.
Yeah.
Oak Pond Drive.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's not the same one as what he's talking about SB 22, which
It
is,
was completely.
is it
covered.
Pond Oaks, where,
Oak
Pond
Pond-
View
Oak
or
Pond.
Oak, okay.
It was completely covered in duckweed. Had a huge problem with duckweed. So, but I feel like we got that under control. I know the hurricane helped. I can assure you, everybody can have my cell phone number, open lines of communication, you can call me, text me, I'm great with answering back. Any issues that you have, call me, I'll make sure they get resolved the same. Yeah, and I just wanted to apologize for the disconnect.
So let me ask the question then, putting the business side and the communication side of the piece, there was still the underlying problem with the ponds and I get it, you guys came in, was it May?
June.
June, okay.
Yeah.
You got dropped in right in the middle of when everything sucks, I get that. However, it still didn't, it wasn't looking any better than how it would have been if we'd stayed with our old vendor. I'm thinking of the one, I always pass the one at Waterside and Celebration Avenue, it was still green and covered. So I still have the underlying problem that in those first couple months, while I wouldn't have expected to see it totally fixed, it didn't appear that it was fixed at all. So, I mean, was there? Thought about
The
that.
issue during the summertime, especially when we come in, grasses are an issue and algae is an issue. Try to attack both, but as you kill grasses, more algae blooms. As it starts to break down and it's always nutrients. So fortunately, we were going in, we were treating grasses, and the next time we were treating the algae that was coming off of that tree. And then during the summertime, grasses grow so fast, we got to treat the grass again. It's just a vicious cycle. Grasses to algae, grass to algae. Until get into the winter time, and you can start attacking the grass and really eradicating the grasses where they don't come back and then they're not producing. Springtime, we can do sonar treatments, Nutrisorb treatments to absorb some of those nutrients before we get into this.
So is that your plan?
I was gonna, that was my question for you. Do you guys know what his plan is for the next 30, 60, 90 days?
Well, that's why we have them
Understand
here.
expectations.
Yeah, that's why we have you. So before we get into the summer months where it starts getting ridiculous, because it's going to, you're gonna have algae blooms, you're gonna have all these things. What is your plan to keep it not how it was?
Definitely as we get into the winter time, I know I spoke briefly in our last one about the drench resort treatments. Basically it bonds with the phosphorus in the water and just completely takes it out of the water. So by doing that, we lower the nutrients in the water, which is gonna help us with algae. Summertime. Plantings, aeration, things like that also help. Get rid of some of those nutrients.
Okay, talking about aeration, are you saying you think we need to add more aeration or just the fact of what we got out there now? Because we've had those aerators, we put them in 2 years ago.
Yeah, we don't need any more aeration.
Well, that's what I'm asking. When he says that, I'm trying to figure out.
We always suggest aeration. I think we had given a bold rule for quite a bit of aeration.
Yeah, these are
New
the,
aeration.
these are the proposals that you had that, when you think
That
of
Jared had given.
yeah, if somebody gave him proposals, but he really didn't
Yeah,
know.
so aeration is a 50-50 thing because some of the ponds that have problems had aerators.
Correct. Well,
That's something.
aeration is not a one, it's not a one and done, it's like a multi-prong thing. My biggest question to you is now, have you guys worked out and actually read the contract? Because there was a lot of things in the contract that you guys weren't doing that is inclusive in the contract. Like being on site, the contract's on my desk, it was twice a week, you guys weren't coming twice a week. But instead you said, oh, but we're sending 2 texts 1 time a week, that's not the same. You know what I mean?
My understanding it's 6 visits.
No.
6 visits a week.
Yes, it was.
A month.
I'm sorry, 6 weeks a
Planning
month,
was
yeah.
another one.
6 visits.
Plantings are included, that was another one.
Yeah, we do those.
No.
What we do is
This
certain
scope
amount of
is, the one in our agenda says 6 times, to your point, 6 times a month.
Yeah.
Not twice a week.
But this may be amended.
Well, no,
That's the
but
one
this is
that's
probably
the
what
one.
was, the original contract was written on, so.
Yeah, but they were supposed to have changed stuff, so I'm not sure if they
All right,
changed.
well,
But
bigger picture, Tom, you've been on the front lines with this. I'm hearing, don't throw the red flag yet. But
I'm hearing pull the red flag back.
yeah,
So I agree to pull the red flag back, but the bigger concern is that the expectation from both the board and residents is that these ponds are getting cleared. Yes, I understand nature happens and there's some challenges on some of the ponds. But when there's challenges, a major challenge, 4 or 5, where residents are calling in and saying the smell is intolerable. That's the unacceptable part. That's where we just can't go. And I do agree. I think that the problem in August, because I know I was in the email chain, we're emailing the salesperson, we're not getting a response. From a business side, it was a really big failure because we had ponds that were being affected and weren't getting really treated. And I think it goes to what Greg was saying, is like, okay, so if we have people coming out here, did they not see this? Because all you had to do was drop by on some of these areas that weren't like the side streets, they were right there. And once we started talking, we had people come out and start spraying. But it's really the consistency of it, because we've got very zero tolerance for bad ponds here, because we kind of had enough.
all right, so if the expectation is clear ponds, like they don't turn green. Ever, all right, to a majority, is it, right? Is this scope? Is our scope right?
Well, the scope is what they agreed to.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's not the question. Come on.
During the summertime, I would suggest more visits, per month during the summertime, probably from June or May to August. And then we can cut back in the winter time months is what we do in some of the contracts.
So what I
So
just heard was your sales guy underbid this.
that's exactly, because we specifically asked that because prior contracts had more visits here. Y'all's is 6 times per month. At his recommendation, that's what they should go to. Prior to what we had before, was once a week. We had techs on site. So basically it's 6 times per month for a total of 72 visits. Algae control, floating vegetation control, shoreline vegetation control, submerged vegetation, aquatics consulting, management reporting, littoral shelf maintenance, installation up to 2,000 free beneficial aquatic plants per year, free retreats, pond dye, water testing, monthly reports and management advance at the meetings. Oh, and attendance of the meeting, sorry. Lifetime warranty on all erosion control, that's different. And then 1 full day of wetland crew on site for removals per month, which I don't believe that's happened yet since you guys took the contract.
No, I have not.
Angel, is this,
Right.
those 6 visits, is there a seasonal up and down, or are there more visits in this? It's just straight, okay.
That's what I was gonna ask, we do like the street sweeping only in reverse, can we get less in the winter, more in the summer?
Again, this is the scope that they recommended when
Well,
you,
if I have to send more people during the summer.
yeah, when you took the contract, and there's just stuff in here. And this isn't a bashing session. This is just kind of putting it on the table and kind of let's see where we can gather and move forward. But there's things in here that haven't been done, like the 1 full day of wetland crew on site for removals per month. Y'all had the contracts in June. That hasn't happened at all. The free plantings, we just paid you guys for plantings. I don't know how much. I'd have to go back and
I
look.
know they owe us.
Yeah, you owe us about 2,500 plants, I
Something like
think, because we paid for X amount. So you owe us 2,500 just for this fiscal year or the last fiscal year. And now we're in the new fiscal year. So we need a credit there. Y'all haven't been here 6 times per month since you started. Right? So there's just different things in here. But again, this is a scope where the scope was different with the RFP, but at the recommendation of the person who was here, they're the ones who said, oh no, absolutely, this is all you need. I've walked your ponds, I know what they are. So unfortunately, you're here catching it all. But there's just a lot of stuff in here that hasn't been done since you took the contract in June, and now we're in the new fiscal year, right? So getting credits or something, we're gonna have to work out if the board decides to keep Cross Creek.
So the way that normally works, like with everywhere else, you get those, the plants, but we plant a canna, which isn't part, it's normally arrowhead, pickleweed, and spycrust.
That's fine. Yep.
Which we absolutely will plant anywhere we want, or give you a credit, we can do that.
Are those, I have no idea what those are. Are those consistent with what we have in the rest of town?
Yeah.
The cannas are, for sure. And they knew that, obviously, he walked it and he bid it.
Well, that's
so-
my point. If,
They owe us stuff to work down in,
Yeah.
listen, I wouldn't know a canna from a canary.
The flowery all down Waterside,
I just want to make sure
Water Street, sorry.
if they bid a certain type of plant, and then they're saying, well, that's not the plant, it's another plant. I just want to make sure we're getting what's consistent with the expectation was we're getting what's consistent with the rest of the ponds and maintaining.
All it says here is installation of up to 2,000 free beneficial aquatic plants per year.
Right.
It doesn't really specify which ones, but I will say that Celebration has 90% of cannas. So if you guys bid this according to what we sent out,
The expectation is 90%.
you would know cannas, and that's why the expectation would be that. I understand what you're saying though, because I do know those are more. So that probably could have used a little bit of explanation in the original.
Dave was kind of pushing you on, the expectation is perfection. You're telling us our scope can't get us.
No, I cannot. We can get there and still.
Oh.
I'll make it out.
Okay.
Like I said, if I have to send.
I was gonna
send
ask
extra
you
people there.
All right, item 7B.
So can you give us a 90-day plan, document a 90-day plan?
I can go on to that.
And then my question for staff would be, and I understand we're kind of in the beginning of the contract, we're 4 months into it. But if we were already missing things where you're saying, hey, they weren't showing up, they didn't give free, whatever. And especially with the one that I heard the concern was we're paying for plans that we shouldn't even be paying for it. I mean, we actually went out of pocket. It's not just, hey, we missed the fact that they didn't come in time. We actually went and paid them for something that was supposed to be free in the contract.
Well, again, I think there's a little bit of
There's a debate there.
a debate whether, because cannas, I will tell you, I mean, I've had them installed and I've had other plantings installed in other communities. Cannas are more expensive. They are. So I get what he's saying, but it's not clear in the scope of what type
What
of
is the
plant.
equivalent of 2,400 plants in Canada?
Well, I don't want to go down that road. They surveyed the community. They knew it was out there. Now all of a sudden, instead of 2,400 cannas, I'm gonna get 1,800 cannas, because cannas are more expensive, and we're doing it.
But they don't specify.
They don't specify
But we
anything, yeah.
specified what the community was. When the sales guy came out and surveyed the
I don't know,
community.
I think legal, that's gonna be. I'm just, I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
a
you
lawyer,
did.
but that sounds pretty. It's.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I think we can work this one out.
And we
We're
did
gonna
talk
have a new
about
show.
the contract stuff that they were missing. We already had this conversation with him, Tom, myself, Carrie, when he was here, that, hey, these things aren't being done. We know they're, and he, like he is doing right here, he said, yep, you're right. I'm gonna fix it. I'm the account manager and all of that. So
I appreciate him taking the beating.
he did.
I will say that.
This
all
is
honesty,
the second
yes.
one, by the
Yes.
way.
Yep.
The one with us privately was probably a little more intense than this one, but
All back.
All right, so
That's the point, I think Greg said it too, is that we might wanna have some latitude with, instead of 6 a month, 72 total, let them figure out how to allocate that.
well, now we're talking about the next year's contract for doing that, but right now it sounds like we have a lot of credits that we can apply to for the coming months that will catch us up. I just wonder,
yeah.
like you said, is that gonna be enough in the succeeding years to keep it up?
But regardless, my point is whether, and he said a good point. He goes, well, we don't come. So what I was doing was doubling up on texts and shortening the visits per month. And I don't think that's acceptable. How many, when you come during the month, we don't care. But as long as you're going by the contract, because here's what's going to happen. If the service fails, or we're seeing that you all just heard exactly what they said. If there's any green ponds, and I'm gonna go, well, I mean, you're not here 6 times a month. So if you were here 6 times a month, then the ponds wouldn't be green, right? So it just helps you. Yep, I'm going by the contract. I am here 6 times a month. I don't care when you come. That's up to you to dictate that.
Well, and spraying doesn't happen in every pond. The thing that has to happen in
Correct.
every pond is the inspections. That's the big
Yeah.
thing, because that will determine what is done or not done, right? Because not everything has to get sprayed.
Yeah, we're not gonna treat it differently.
Right, actually it's dangerous,
So what and my suggestion would be for the board's thoughts is, number one, you need to calculate what you think are fair credits.
Mhm.
And I in the next 30 days, my suggestion would be tabling the RFP, not canceling it, but tabling the conversation for 30 days to know that, number one, can staff and the vendor come to agreement on what the appropriate amount of credits are? Number two, can he come up with a plan that you guys are gonna look at and say, number one, you're confident in it, number two, that you are able to enforce it? That's gonna get us back to where we need to be. Can all that happen in the next 30 days, that we can come back at the next meeting and say either we want to reengage this conversation or?
I think we can. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it hasn't been paid yet, so I can change the invoice, I can credit the invoice recent,
Correct.
I can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And listen, I appreciate you coming here. I also know that companies, you've got a boss somewhere, when he here all of a sudden
Yeah.
goes, hey, they're gonna do credits, and hey, we're gonna need to put in extra text, and hey, I can understand, all of a sudden you may have a boss that has a different opinion than what you told us, so I just want to make sure that that is formally captured somewhere before we commit one way or the other. So.
And then I did wanna explain the removals a little bit, we did do one when we did the alligator weed removal on that wild side when we were doing
Mhm.
field cleanup.
Yep.
But typically how we do it with other properties, you kind of wait, they'll bank some up, 3 or 4 days worth of removal, and then something will happen where they need a crew out on site for a removal or something happen. And then we'll just use those credits for that. So we don't really go in once a month. It's kind of like on as needed basis. But we have those credits.
Well, I think too, this is, I'm just gonna tell you. The person that did this scope was very vague and did not do you any favors. Okay, because I will tell you, floating vegetation control.
That's everything.
It could be,
Exactly.
they could say, well, there's a floating there, I want it removed. When I know by dealing with pond companies for the last 14 years, that's an extra service. That's provided via proposal. That is nothing that you would ever put into the contract, or the contract, I can tell you, would not be as low as it is, right? But with it being so vague, they can come back and hold you to that because you didn't, same as the plants, right? I know cannas are more expensive, but they don't. A plant's a plant to most people. So this doesn't do you any favors with what people are going to hold you accountable for versus what your intention is. You know what I mean? So I think we probably should work that out. So, yeah, because it needs to be a beneficial partnership, not only to the board, but to you as a company as well. So I think we need to work that stuff out and be a little more descriptive and exactly what your scope is gonna cover.
We want you guys to turn a fair profit. You're a
Yeah.
for-profit business.
Absolutely.
But when you guys were the ones that came up with hey, here's what we can do it for, you know.
You guys are gonna get together in the next week and
Yeah.
iron it out.
Yep.
Okay.
Clean ponds from here on out. That's what I heard.
That's what I
Gonna be able to skate across them.
Well, it's like,
You want to
Fair enough.
withdraw 7F, the littoral shelf, as long as he's standing there?
Yeah, because I have a question on that while he's still here.
Go for it.
So we got two proposals, you guys, and then another company gave us like a $31,000 proposal. I'm not sure who on this board was under the impression we could dredge a littoral shelf because you cannot. Yeah, you can't do that. Like, he'll tell you, any pond company will tell you that. Any engineer should be able to tell you that. We cannot dredge that stuff. Now,
Physically
Hold on,
can't,
I'm
legally can't.
Yeah. Oh,
no. Let me take that back.
Okay.
You can, but you got to get permission and permits and all of that and go through the process. We can't just go out and dredge a littoral shelf.
Okay, well, hold on, let me define dredge. If you have a plan that's approved and it says your littoral shelf is supposed to be at elevation 73. And after 20 years, it's now at 75.
Yep.
Because of crap that goes in there.
Mhm.
You should be able, for maintenance purposes on that permit, to, I'll call it dredge, you can call it clean, I don't care.
Yeah.
Go from 75 to 73 without a permit.
You can't do that. And Carrie just spoke to Reedy Creek.
Okay, Reedy Creek told me, no, we couldn't.
No,
You could return it to its permitted condition.
not without
The
permission.
permit process.
That's right.
Okay.
but if you went through the permitting process. you could do it.
Yes, if they approve it.
Yeah.
Well, like,
That sounds-
Yeah.
I think that's all right, so you have the permit, but they're gonna say yes.
They're probably gonna say yes.
Okay, so,
Yes.
great, you
So
can't.
one way or another, you can do it if you go through the
Can't,
process.
okay,
You
next
can.
question.
But, okay, so I'm gonna, finish your thought. I don't want.
Anyways, so we got two different things. Y'all's was, I think, 7,000 to go out and basically remove the vegetation and then replant,
Yes.
right? And I reached out to the other company going, holy macaroni, what is this for? But there was no dredging or anything in it. It was essentially to do the same thing you guys are doing. So my question is, what you're proposing to do for this area, is it going to eliminate it, make it right, put in enough plantings? Because according to the everything that I sent you guys, that area should be very well planted.
Right.
I mean, there's basically, I want to say what, Carrie, it was 80% coverage? Something in
I
that.
don't know where you're at 65 to like 80%.
Yeah.
On the littoral shelf.
So we would have to remove all of that. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page because yours was vastly different than the others.
When we first
So your
planted.
answer is, that's the homeowner's.
And so
Right next to you.
essentially, what I'm wanting to make sure for the what you proposed was to go in, clean out what's there now, just the littoral shelf, not the other area on the
Oh, I'm
other
sorry,
side.
before we go too far, because we had a definite, what does it mean to clean out? Because we had a 20-minute conversation on that last meeting. Is this a treatment? Is this a mechanical
We're
removal?
gonna go in and treat it first. make
It's on their
everything's
scope.
dead, and then we'll go in manually.
Manually
with the
remove
crew
it.
guys, manually remove.
And then
And then
replant.
replant.
Now, my guess is the plantings that you guys are suggesting, is that enough to meet compliance?
Yes,
Okay.
and they'll grow in.
Yeah, I know they're gonna
We
grow
first
in and
plant it,
essentially
it'll
they'll,
look like it,
yeah.
but they're gonna.
But over the next, as rainy season and all that stuff, they'll start
Yeah.
filling in and it'll eventually be covered the way it should be. But I just want to make sure that's what you guys were proposing.
I didn't look at the proposal, but we've got a bunch of plants coming, right?
Well, you got some credits for removal as well.
Not to this degree though. Cause I mean, their price to remove and replant was like 7,800, something like that, 75. But, so, okay, I just wanted some clarity. I couldn't get it from the other one and they couldn't attend tonight, so I just wanted to know, like, theirs was literally
I don't even see
$31,000.
theirs on the
32.
agenda.
32.
32.
Well, then, yeah, you,
It
I
was,
saw
I
that.
saw one.
it was,
You emailed
Oh, you
it.
didn't see
yeah,
it?
I emailed it to everyone.
Oh, email, okay.
Do we wanna shrink that area down a little bit on top of that, or? not?
You can't shrink it. you
Well, I
can't-
mean, just not really
Well,
Well, it will naturally shrink, but it's gonna grow.
It's gonna grow back into being what it is now, but not unmaintained the way
Can I ask
it
a
should have been.
question?
Mhm.
During the wet season, is that covered with a foot of water, which is the plan?
It should be dry during
I mean,
some
right.
seasons.
Right now it is.
It's
but
covered by a
it's-
foot of water.
Well, but,
No.
It's
I don't know
really
if it's
hard
quite
to
a
see.
lot, but I mean, this past year it dried out to mud for
And that's
quite a while. And
what it should be.
I think that's when all the grass started to take, red grass and other
So
things.
it
that you
sounds
don't
like
want.
it's performing per plans, which is
Right,
dry a half a season and under a foot of water.
during the other season,
Nope.
yeah. It should completely dry up to where you can walk across it if you needed to during the seasons. It ebbs and flows, and that's how it's designed to
To
be.
kill and
We've been
remove.
there 4 years and this was by far the driest.
Yeah, we had a really bad drought this year, so that doesn't surprise me.
There was some sections of mud right next to the shore. The
That's what I'm
previous
talking about.
years,
Replace.
again, it was dry for 100 yards.
Yeah,
And so the type of planting that we're putting in there will be able to survive both seasons.
Yeah.
Both conditions.
What kind of warranty is on this?
We don't really give warranties on the plantings, they're bare root plants, so I mean, we'll do like a 30-day warranty after we install them.
Will we
That's
be
really
able
what
to tell
we
in
do.
30 days if this took or not, or is this gonna take a
Yeah,
year?
they
before
take
we-
that.
yeah, they should. And if they die, we'd be able to tell if it was because of spraying or what have you. But usually those plants, because they're specific ones that thrive in those areas, once they take root, they're
Okay.
pretty much good to go, and then they just balloon everywhere.
And
The
off
only thing
that
about
is
those
just- so-
is that it'll be arrowhead, pickerelweed, and spikegrass that we'll plant on the floor. So the good thing about those is they won't grow over about 3 feet. And spikegrass is just a single stem plant. Arrowhead and pickerelweed both flower. So pickerelweed has purple flowers, arrowhead will flower.
So we had that explosion of growth and I mean, it was probably 6, 7.
Is that thalia? Is that what's out there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's really bad. I mean, it's beneficial though. Really, it's supposed to be in those areas, to believe it or not. But they take off and they get like 9 feet tall.
And
I
they
mean, they're
die.
huge. Yeah, but they are designed to be in those areas.
Jack had a question.
Matt, in your proposal, you're saying 2 days and that's manual removal of everything. And I'm looking at the other proposal, so they spray it 1 day and they come back 7 to 10 days later, then clean it out. Is that any different?
No, we're gonna go in and treat it first, make sure everything's
Okay.
dead before we go.
So yours will be 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It was not clear in there, just said 2
It
days.
just means 1 day he'll be in there and 7 days later, another day. It'll be
It's fine.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the 33,000 or 32,000 doesn't say anything about putting new plants in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cost and there was no plants going in.
I had
So
no idea
something's-
what they were
Yeah.
proposing.
One question and then one concern, but one question is this something that has to happen during the dry season? Or in order for you to get it in there and for it to work, or can you do it anyway?
We can do.
Okay, so this can be done tomorrow or get authorized. Secondly, the statement is that if there's, like I mentioned before, there's a plan that this littoral shelf is supposed to be a certain elevation.
Mhm.
If over time it's no longer there and there's crud on top of it, it's not gonna work because it's not gonna get enough, it's not gonna get wet enough during the wet season.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
That's
I
more of a
don't know
question.
if I'm
Yeah.
completely convinced right now that could be part of the problem, that there's a layer of organics that's gonna screw this up again.
I mean, if I had to guess, just from years of doing this, there has to be a layer or, a
Yeah.
thicker layer of organic
I don't know
matter.
if he knows.
Yeah.
Is the
But-
point.
Well, he's
But
been
if I
out
would've-
there.
Yeah, I've seen that area. I mean, we'd have to look at the elevations of original design, what it is now to see how much it has for.
Give me a.
Mark,
give me a-
have you
from
looked
looking
at
at
that
it.
area? And what's the elevation now? I mean, is it where it should be, or how much does it need to be lowered, or?
Tough to see under the water, but it should be about a foot deep from control level, which is your normal water level in the pond.
During the rain, the wet season? Because
Really,
during the dry
really-
season, you're not gonna have that, obviously.
Well, any season, if it's,
It depends, it's a
Spring
wet
fed
pond
or
is
something.
controlled at the average should be at an average wet season water table, so it's controlled. Ideally, wet ponds shouldn't drop below that elevation, but if you get in a drought condition, they can.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing 6 to 12 inches, ideally should be removed. Is that what I think I just heard?
No.
I don't know.
He said
That's
1,200
fine.
data
If you have
before
to
they
go out there and make- It's the survey.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is,
Driving that are out there now, so I don't.
Yeah, oh yeah, they are
There's
thriving.
there's an area that's higher, there's a mound of. Just dead debris.
well, and what I'm getting at is if, to Dave's question, if they can do this at any point, and we need to take another 60 or 90 days to permit and dredge as well, and I'm not suggesting we should, but if I don't want to do this and find out 6 months from now, oh, that didn't work, there was too much crap down there, we should have dredged, and now we're spending another $7,000 on this, plus we're spending the money on dredging. Should we be dredging or should we just be planting? What's your
Well,
thought?
you've been out there. Do you feel like it needs to be dredged in the plants? I mean, everything out there now is thriving. I don't see how it
At
would.
this point, I don't feel like.
Okay.
The upside is our pond vendor, they have a contractual obligation to maintain what they're shown.
Yep.
If it fails.
Someday.
So contract,
so-
so she did told us go with the contract.
Well played, sir.
But also remember how we got here. It
It was not being maintained.
So that's how we got here. So if they clean it up, maintain it, that's gonna be the key for anything anyways.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion on this?
I move to approve the Cross Creek proposal for 7,600.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then go back to 7B.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank
Grab some pizza, man, you earned it.
Carrie or Russ will get with you about scheduling that.
The first question I was gonna ask.
Sorry, jumped the gun.
Well, an agenda question, when we had public comment, the gentleman from Castile, I guess,
Yeah.
agreed, we said we would address this again during this
If,
period, or?
if anybody wants to put it on the agenda, we can do that. He's not here anymore. I was gonna put it up front, but he left. So-
Are you talking about putting it under number 9?
My
Seven
suggestion was just gonna get through
business.
what we have in 7 right now, and if he was here, I was gonna put it up front, but since he left, I was just gonna see if anybody wanted to tag it on the back.
All right, we'll save for the then.
Okay,
Will you make it 7?
7,
G?
whatever, yeah. Okay. 7B, proposals for roof replacement.
So you asked us to get, just for you all, number purposes, to get roof proposals based on the engineer's report that we got. We were asked to do the existing roof with the dormers, and then if we could get proposals without the dormers. So Carrie and them reached out. I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, about 7 different companies. We got responses from 2. 2 I didn't hear from. The other 3 said, no way, it's hurricane season. We don't have time to deal with it. Call us in 6 months.
Okay, so there wasn't a response that said, oh my God, your thing is so horrible, I don't wanna have anything to do with your roof.
No. there was
Okay,
none.
that's good, hurdle number 1 thing.
So at least the 2 that you have will give you some idea of what a new roof is gonna cost. And then I think council has an update from Arnco and what they're willing to do and all of that, and then you can determine how we want to move forward. But at least this gives you a price. Not that you have to go with either one of these, because like I said, he reached out to 7, so we'll get additional quotes, but
Okay, can I get a little clarification, because I saw the estimates of 206,000, 260,000 for the existing unit and then with the dormers removal, but then I saw another estimate for 86,000.
Yep.
What was that?
Page 69.
Yeah, page 69.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what we're talking about on that one.
Is that the removal of the dormers? If we wanted to take those out, that's an additional cost.
Doesn't
Take
say,
the dormers out?
didn't say.
Well, it does on the removal existing rake trim.
No, it says fabricate and install proper flashing on top of dormer sides.
Oh, Carrie, you're the ones that.
Yeah.
figured this out.
Would be
What's
Carrie.
it-
I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Page 69.
Page 69, there's another bid out there for
From the
$86,400.
same company.
Architect.
AWS.
Yeah.
Or ASM.
I have that.
It's the last page of their bid. Architecture competitors bid, their final page.
oh, there it is. 69, let's see.
You can do that, it's gonna be very expensive.
Above and below. As needed.
That's repair. The project is roof repair.
Repair deficiencies to roof seat. So this is just a repair.
That was been an alternate to repair and not replace.
That's right.
Okay. So the other two proposals, 141,000 and the 206 are replace roof.
New roofs.
Okay.
I saw Nash City give an option without the dormer.
So
And that
they're
and that was
147.
147, is that
That's
their
with dormers.
single
Yeah.
like 47.5.
And these were, the action two was to take these both back by the engineer, Carrie, and figure out, did the engineer know these guys, like the plans, think these were reasonable? What was the
Yeah,
reaction?
yeah,
from
we
the
can get
engineer?
input from him. ASM architectural sheet metal was kind of the one that was recommended to me. So I looked at the material scope of work, they're almost identical. Couple differences in the warranties. So,
Yeah, one's a huge warranty and the other one's no warranty.
well, one's 20 and one is like 2 and 5 or something. like
Yeah.
that.
Which is crazy.
What's crazy, the high number or the low number?
No, the high number had the
The high
warranty.
number's normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never seen a roof replacement and only have a 2-year warranty. It's always been, yeah,
That's like a new building warranty.
a
Yeah,
minimal,
first move in,
like
you get.
10, I mean, shoot, landscapers give a year warranty on new plant installation.
Well, if there's a reason they're $100,000 cheaper. I mean,
Yeah.
All right, and did you ask ASM with the repair proposal? Would that solve all our problems, or did they recommend a new roof? I mean, obviously, the price would be better for them to recommend a roof, but
Yeah, we didn't really request the repair. I think that was
They just threw that in.
they threw that in?
yeah,
so-
our request was new roof with or without the dormers.
Okay,
Were you here the day they came out? Timber sheet metal.
all right, and then, so what is Arco offering?
Yeah.
So, Jen has been in communication with Align. Their insurer said that they will not cover. However, the agreement that we had with Arnco was a 2-year warranty in the contract. And as we've seen, they have been willing to come out here and inspect. So Jen is of the opinion that if they're working with us, we should continue.
The only problem is coming out and inspecting it and fixing.
Well, they've already come out and did a few things.
They've
that
been
haven't
doing
helped.
work too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
I
leaks
think-
haven't gone away.
I mean, the building still leaks in one location of the dormer. It still leaks.
Yeah.
Well, if I continue to work with them, what is Jan suggesting that is?
I wasn't given further information on that. We can go back and continue. I believe litigation wasn't. There's an email in here with a line.
Page 121. So dark email.
Yeah, it's 8C2, subsection.
Yeah.
8C?
Page 121 of the agenda.
Of legal counsel, okay.
Yeah, so we were just told that they are agreeable to continue working with us. But it is the board's decision if they would prefer not to.
Well, I kind of look like, like in all contracts, you see time is of the essence, and I don't see a lot of essence here.
When, do you know when the last time they were out here?
Oh, gosh, it's been,
They said in the email the last time they were advised was May of 23.
no.
Last time,
April 24.
the last time Arnco was notified about a leak at the property was September 14th of 23, and Arnco sent out a roofing contractor the same day. It was according to their email.
Yeah, no, they've been out here this year.
24.
Yeah, May
I
of
don't think it has
24.
There's any leaks between September 1st and the 15th.
They said we notified them again in April of 24 that there was a problem. But at that point, we told them we were retaining a roofing expert, so they just stood down until we could remember and build one. Guys, I've got zero faith in Arco. I mean, we've been dancing.
I
against them for years.
think if we do anything with them, I wouldn't trust the work. I think we're right back where we started. It's a delay tactic. at this point.
I don't want to.
And we're responsible for the delay tactic.
Well, and I don't want to be having conversations about this building like Crow was having with 851.
I was going to say that.
So
This is our
if
51.
We just have to decide.
Yeah.
Another company and that's.
So the only material difference you're seeing between the two bids is the warranty period. Is that it?
Yeah, materials were very similar.
Okay. And what you said you were recommended to the first company. Where did Nash come from? Do you know them, or how do we get them?
We've used them out here.
I recognize their name. I'm just trying to remember what they
They
bid.
do all our boardwalks and they do our shade structures.
Can we go back to Nash and ask them if they'd increase their warranty?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Are they a roofing company or like?
They're a construction, they build houses and stuff.
they're not a roof.
They're not a roof specific, no, they
Says
do
they're a Florida
roofs.
certified building and roofing contract. At the bottom of their thing. and they give a
Yeah, it's
license
probably
number.
part of their GC, I mean, because they are, but they're not a roof specific like the other
Yeah.
one.
They
is.
do a lot of just.
Yeah, no,
roofs.
I'm not
Yeah. I'm
disagreeing.
just saying.
Yeah, they do.
They do say they'll have a 5-year warranty on workmanship.
Yeah, but
I don't know, I've never seen a warranty that small on a new
2 years
roof.
is ridiculous for a new roof.
Yeah. I don't know,
All
would
right,
we
well, then-
recommend drafting a contract for that?
Well, but what's the end game here? We contract these guys and then we go after Arco with the litigation?
I don't think we have recourse with Arco right now. We're way past warranty period.
I mean, Jan's always cautious about talking about it, but she's always giving me the stink eye when I start asking about it because we ain't gonna get any work.
It was out a long time ago.
Yeah.
What was out?
The warranty
Warranty.
for them, but they have been doing, because we've had so many leaks, they were coming kind of on good faith
They've been honoring. it.
and working with
Yeah, but-
us.
I don't know, again, like you said, there's always the statute of 10 years of
Jan said,
construction.
that ain't, what she said was that ain't what the
I
State
just
statute
looked
was.
into it with one of our construction litigators, yeah. I can confirm with him tomorrow, but
Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago you brought that up, and when I was talking to her on something else, she brought this up, and she said she was pretty adamant that 10 years was not. Wherever you thought it was, she didn't find it.
Oh, no,
This
that's-
building was built in what, 2016?
16.
We're still within the 10 years. That covers all construction. There's any kind of structural issue.
So my suggestion would be just to move along would be, I think we need to vote on one of these two. If we choose to go after Arnco and we think there's a case there, then great. Stick Jan and the 7 dogs of hell on them and let them go do what they're gonna do. But I don't wanna wait another rain season.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. I don't wanna wait another rain season. We've been talking about this roof for. 2
No,
years.
we
It's
just gotta
creating
move
more and more
You
problems.
wanna ask them for an extended warranty or just go with the one that you all recommended? Or you heard it?
I'm just saying, there's a $60,000 difference, you know, between the 5-year warranty and the 20-year warranty.
What,
There's gotta be a
what would you like for us to ask them?
20-year warranty, match the other one.
Mhm.
Give us apples to apples. At least.
And that's a material, because a lot of the roofers will say, all right, your material warranty is 20 to 30 years.
Workmanship is different. Yeah. For sure.
It's the workmanship that failed here, right? It's not like there was a hole in the.
No,
Yeah.
it's workmanship, 100%. If you read the engineering report, that all comes down to workmanship.
Because the only mention of warranty in the Nash one is Nash will provide a 5-year warranty on workmanship from completion date.
And what's the other one? What's their warranty on workmanship?
Well, it says finish warranty 20 years, weather tightness 20 years, weather tightness by the installer 2 years. So
Installer ASM.
I'm not a political balance.
I would say I'm ready to vote now. I don't know if I'm maybe the only one that,
make a motion.
I'd make a motion, we go with the first one for 206.
What company is that?
ASM.
Architectural.
Oh, I've
I know
worked with them
David, it's a lot.
before. Ah, they did Tara's clubhouse in Manatee County.
And
We heard good things about them.
Well, that's part of it is,
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's a metal tin roof.
There's gotta be a good reason why you don't go with a low bidder. These are two qualified
Let's
bids.
do this.
If they're qualified to do the work, there's gotta be a good reason why you don't go with Tesla.
because his warranties
The
one quarter of the
it's
time.
not apples to apples.
But we said we could ask for another warranty.
Well, we can turn around and ask architectural treatment if they can do a 30-year warranty.
So you're gonna add $120 or some $1,000 if you go to warranty?
I'm not,
60,000.
60.
Huh?
60.
Oh, 60. That's a pretty expensive warranty.
well, considering we've probably absorbed more than $60,000 worth of damage sitting here litigating this for among the 5 of us for the past 2 years. I hate to keep playing the ball.
They still have
We're gonna-
active leaks. One's right over Cassandra's head. One is in the office over one of the cubicles.
I know.
We also have
Hey, you got
other,
ran the fence years ago, and that-
I'm saying, one there and here, both of these. We had trash cans. Yeah, trash
All right,
cans.
so yeah, essentially we're telling Arco, We've had enough.
Yeah, they're not, I will say that, whether you postpone this and wait for more bids, totally fine, but I definitely would not recommend using Armco because they have,
So,
They're the reason we're here to begin with.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll say that we are, as of 2 weeks from now, gonna be in officially the dry season, which I think we do have time. I don't wanna kick the can usually, but I don't like these two bids. I don't think, number one, I'd like the third bid at a minimum or something of this scope.
We put out for 7.
We asked for 7.
The hurricane's over, we can go back and ask.
Yeah. And everybody who responded to me said,
After the hurricane.
contract's in a month and we'll see what we can do for
I don't like either of these two bids.
so, well, I wouldn't say that, because then you get the third bid, and the third bid is twice as high as the other one, you don't like it. So, I don't wanna kick the can down the road either, but can we go ahead and find the one with the low warranty, if it will match the 20-year warranty on materials, or equal apples to apples? See if we can get a third bid, and if we can then vote either in November, or we need to have a special meeting in November to go vote on it. Cause I also wanna get the roof thing done, this thing should be fixed right
I mean,
away.
my,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Are we going to ask ASM if the repair is good enough?
2 years.
You know, they put that at the end.
86,000.
Yeah,
That's the install.
what do they think we'll get with the repair?
it. I think they probably got that from the engineer's report, but he did say in his thing, could do a repair instead of roof replacement.
Mhm.
I didn't ask for it, but I shared that report with them. I'm thinking they just extrapolated that data out, like, oh, let's just repair
Didn't we look at the report and say we wanted to pursue a new route though,
it.
right?
We did.
Yes.
Mm,
We did.
I will point out, again, I think Jay's looking at the fine print, but if you look at architecture sheet metal, so their finish warranty is 20 years. And I'm assuming that's the manufacturer. And then weather tightness is 20 years manufacturer, weather tightness 2 years installer. So is that their workmanship is only 2 years
Yeah.
as well?
Yes.
So
That's why we're way past it.
it might be, what's Nash's?
5.
was 2 years, wasn't it?
5 on workmanship, so their
Wow, even better.
workmanship is better than, well, if I'm interpreting this line correctly.
Just wanna
Their,
dance over past.
yeah, their workmanship's more, but the other one manufacturer wise, it
Well, and-
looks to be 20 years.
Can you take a
I think
minute
that's
and
average
stare
for
at
the
the
metal
fix,
roof.
because I'm trying to read the warranty clause there and figure out.
That's
what
what,
am I
yeah,
reading
that's
here.
stupid. Cause I don't know how to interpret that. You've got 3 different warranties, a finish warranty, weather tightness, 2 are manufacturers and 1 is the installer, which is ASM, which only appears to be 2 years.
Well, I'll just say I'm not prepared to prove any of this without third bid.
What, and that's fine, but if the board can give some sort of direction, if that's the route you all go, is give some direction to Carrie and Russ saying, okay, if you want whatever bids we get in November, whether it's 1, 5, 2, whatever, or do you want us to keep going and not bring them back to the board until we definitively get X amount of bids?
Neither one of them put a schedule on here, Carrie. Reasonably, what would you expect from the time we sign a contract? Is this a 90-day project, 120-day project, 6-month project? I was trying to figure out, to Dave's concern about how much time do we have before we hit the rainy season?
Okay, so their warranty is referencing what's here, so it's 2 years on workmanship.
So there's no other secret squirrel stuff they put in bullet section, okay?
I think we were just told we needed 90 days for next rainy season.
Provided.
Is that realistic?
Available.
Yeah. I think it's realistic.
Yeah, that's real.
What I'll stay in contact with the one that did the roof at the church downtown,
So
that was like 3 years ago.
You know what it is?
Nation's Roof.
Because somebody else knows something.
That's a good
I've said this
point.
before, yeah, I got a guy.
So,
Heck, yeah.
You always got a
We
guy.
just ran an RFP and now we're gonna do it again. We've now got 2 public bids that are, or 2 bids that have been made public. We're now asking for a third one. I mean, number one, they're only good for 30 days and they were submitted
Yeah.
a while ago, so we're gonna need to, at minimum, ask for price extensions. Number 2, to Jack's point, we now just made public 2 bids and all of a sudden the third
Correct.
company that's listening in is, okay, I know the number to beat now.
Oh, well.
Well, look, our next meeting is November 19th. Can we get 3 off our RFPs by then?
well, that's what I want to make sure I have clear direction is, do you want us to keep going and not put anything on the agenda until we can definitively get
Listen,
X amount of bids?
I'm not-
Or,
I personally, by the next meeting, I'm voting on a roof.
Okay,
Whether we
so,
have one, two, or three.
I'd make a motion now on Nash. Have a
okay,
second?
let's do one thing at a time. If you're gonna make a motion, make a motion.
I'll make a
Wait,
motion.
there's been a motion, you already made one motion for ASM.
And nobody seconded
Nobody
it.
second, okay.
So now I'm
Oh.
making the motion. Now that he said that the warranty piece is actually better with Nash or equal, I'll make a motion with Nash.
Okay, Greg for Nash. Second,
I'll second that.
Jack. Any discussion?
He said he wasn't gonna say anything too.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying,
It's the same.
it's better
It's
one.
better, yeah.
It's actually
You know,
better.
okay, Sandra, you say Jack, you're out.
All right,
Doesn't
so
call you.
Nash, you have a motion on the floor from Greg, second by Jack. All in favor for Nash?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Seriously? Come on.
It doesn't matter, it's 3-1.
It's
the principle of the matter.
Okay, so 4-1 with Dave opposed. All right, so Nash it is if you can get a schedule.
So I say, do you want to put a timeframe on it?
Tomorrow.
Reach out to Nash and say we can't do it for 7 months?
I mean, it's gonna take 15 to 30 days to negotiate the contract, get everything, that's just typical. It takes about that amount of time for staff to get that in place. So realistically, we're not gonna put them on a clock until say November or December 1st-ish.
December 1st.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, and that's what I'm asking, is it in 90, if 90 days you guys think is a reasonable last, then yeah, put them on a 90-day clock.
And reach out.
No,
No, okay.
it was just a scope.
Got it.
Okay. So at your next meeting, we'll at least have some sort of schedule from Nash. Right, Carrie? No?
Is that with the dormers or without dormers?
Without dormers.
Yeah, that's.
Nash only gave one option.
With,
With dormers.
With dormers?
so by the next meeting, Carrie, can we at least have a schedule by Nash? Of what we can do once they have a signed, executed contract?
And thing number two, just a question for staff, is this gonna impact you guys at all that you need anything from us? Because I mean, are you gonna need to vacate the building at any point or need extra stuff?
I think Nash will tell us what they expect as far as, but I would think we'd probably be okay.
Okay. I mean, you're not gonna have a roof over your head, but arguably haven't had one for a while, so.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll have this drop ceiling here,
Oh, yeah, good.
so.
And then just, is there any board direction on ARCO to cease pursuing any?
Send it to Judge Judy.
Yeah,
I mean, my opinion is if Jan thinks there's an argument there to be had, I don't want to spend $10,000 on Jan's time having to spin cycles. If she thinks there's a fight, then I'm gonna defer to Jan to take the fight for us.
I'll speak to her and she'll bring it back to the next meeting.
okay.
All right, 7C.
Nash Drive tree concerns. Is anyone here for this topic? Okay.
No.
So I sent the board an entire timeline of over the years of things happening. So I think you understand the gist of it. And if not, Dave can explain it as well, where this was left by the developer, sidewalk curbs around. Typically, if you do look at it, there's about 3 feet on that side of the sidewalk that is technically CDD property. However, there's multiple locations around Celebration that are like that. And we, the district, have never gotten involved in those areas. It's always been resident maintained. We've never done maintenance. We've never done that. And there's a lot of these, not a lot, there's a handful of these areas around Celebration. So originally when this came up, we went out, we looked at it. It was a dispute between 2 neighbors. We removed ourselves from it. And we kind of got brought into it because technically we own like 3 feet, maybe 3.5, but no more than that of that actual property. But for years, as you can see by the pictures I sent you guys, the property owner over there has been planting stuff in that area and maintaining it. We never did anything. And then a neighbor moved in and now we have this concern. I know, did Jan talk to you? I know she said that she was talking and yes, if it went, the recommendation would be for us to back out of it. Be done with it. We don't get involved in it. We never have gotten involved in any of these areas. And if the 2 neighbors can't work it out, and say it went to court, yes, the judge would be like, do you own it? Yes, we technically own 3.5 feet of it, but we don't maintain it. We've turned anything from the back of the sidewalk over to the residents, and she feels that we would have a solid standing.
It would essentially be a he said, she said is her feeling, so it's the
Correct.
board's decision if they want to
That's right.
take that chance.
All right, and
My only recommendation is if this board wants the district to get involved in the spot, there are probably 10 or 11 other spots. And the only resolution would be to rip up the sidewalk, the curved sidewalks, move the sidewalk back, reclaim that 3.5 feet of our property. And we maintain like we always have. We plant a tree right there in the thing like we always have, and back a sidewalk the residents own on their properties. The property in question on the corner of Nash, there's also the same type of situation on the side of their home, but there's no resident abutting that. But it again curves out. So if we were to, we could easily, what do we determine? It was like 2 or 3 feet on the side as well. If we would have to bring that sidewalk back and reclaim the CDD land. I mean, I think you're setting a precedent of getting involved in this matter when we've never gotten involved in anything like this. And unfortunately, it's a dispute between the homeowners. So that's where it's at. Now it's up to you guys.
And I'll say publicly, just so everybody knows, I was the one that asked staff to put it back on because when we had brought this up, what was 2 or 3 months ago, what I had heard was this wasn't our property. Well, when I hear it's not our property, that's a real easy one for me. When it is our property, but we haven't maintained it, that's a different comment. So that's why I'd asked. And again, I may be at the end of this, I may be the only one that feels that there's a different way I might go on this, but that's why I wanted to bring it up to the rest of the board because I want to make sure everybody else had the opportunity.
Yep.
And this doesn't add anything except for the fact that, Osceola County is the one who wanted to have these little snippets,
Yeah,
pieces of land.
left
Right.
trees
And then they
and stuff.
handed it over.
well, let me understand one thing.
Mhm.
The 3 feet that we had on the other side of the sidewalk, 2 of the trees were on our property, right?
Yeah, like again, without getting out there and surveying it, Mark and I talked, but we went out several times, walked it. Even I think Tom went out, looked at it.
Okay,
Just by eyeballing it, you would say probably 2.5.
okay, but
trees.
these are trees left over from the originally time they developed.
We
this
did not
thing.
plant them.
Now, the next question then is, did any of these trees appear on our development plan?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay, is there a tree that should be there on the other side of the, if we took the sidewalk and made it straight,
Mhm.
would there be a requirement to have the tree there or not? It's not on the development.
It's not on the plan, but
Actually, it is on the plan. It shows the sidewalk being straight.
straight,
all the way
that is right.
With a
So
tree right there.
it does show
An
a
oak
tree.
Really?
Yeah.
I grabbed the plans real quick.
And
Okay.
they show that for all of the areas
Yeah.
through Celebration.
Listen, I would,
This is a typical site adjustment. What happens is you have a plan on a 2D piece of paper.
That's
and it
right.
looks great, and you apply it everywhere, and then when you get to the site, you're like, oh, wait a second.
We can do
You want to
this.
save this tree, that's
Yeah,
what it was,
that's
which
right.
is fine.
Right, and so what is that? The intent then is that you are now notionally moving that property line to conform with the sidewalk.
That is
It never
correct.
gets corrected.
So the property line never got moved.
Yeah, and it happens all the time.
That happens all the time, and there's, now this is where the legal.
I'm sorry, it happens all the time that the property line doesn't get moved and they just leave it?
Yes.
That-
Okay,
yes.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand.
And
Right, and then what
that's-
happens is that through time, and I'm sure again, there's a legal, this is where your lawyer has to tell you exactly how it works. But it's like if you build a fence, we're neighbors, and you build a fence, but you happen to be 6 inches outside the property line,
Mhm.
and we don't do anything about it for 20 years, that's the new property line.
That's right.
You would be encroaching and be adverse possession. We'd have to look into it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what he's talking about, and again, we see it in almost every district, quite honestly, where even the plat, and that's where when we were sent the plat, and it's like, nah, well, technically, yeah, that's our property, but forever, we've never claimed that to be our property. We've never maintained it. We've never planted on it. We've never done anything. So in our mind, that's the homeowner's property.
The plat is done before that construction.
Before yes. So if a site plan is changed, most of the time, the plat stands and nobody, you've got areas in Celebration now that the plat says one thing, but ownership is another, and it just was never rededicated.
so the issue is what, the trees were cut down.
Yes,
Yeah.
one homeowner is upset that the other homeowner cut trees down and now they're wanting to bring the CDD into it and say, make this homeowner replace these trees.
So, well, as a practical matter, though, I thought I heard the homeowner who had cut it down
He did.
had already said that he was going to replace the trees.
That is correct.
Has that actually happened?
That I don't know.
No.
By him cutting down the trees, did
Why
he,
cut it down if you're gonna replace
if
it?
he's going to, did he claim that land, like through adverse possession? I've never heard of adverse dispossession, it just seems to
I
be
don't-
like what we're doing. you know,
I don't
and it's
know
ours, but-
the issue between the two residents. I mean, I can see what I've read, but I mean, that's more or less he said, she said, and
Mhm.
kind of a back and forth where one resident didn't agree with this. He went and cut down stuff. I mean,
But it's not a CDD issue.
well,
That's our-
but see, here's the thing, for years, it wasn't a CDD issue, but because one resident did something that the other resident didn't like or
They're
didn't
saying,
agree
"Let's
with,
take the tree."
now it's for us to determine what's right or wrong. And we removed ourselves from it a long time ago and said, no, it has nothing to do with the district. Crow is like, nope. And then we kind of got brought back into it. So that's where we stand as far as staff. But again, ultimately, it's your decision.
Yes,
And then
another
you got the
question.
problem that you've got, dividing line right down the middle.
Mhm.
Does the dividing line,
Like these trees were on this person's property, this guy came over and cut those.
Yeah,
Regardless of the road,
yeah.
how far off the road, it's.
If you take a straight line shot of the
Straight line
property
to the
line,
back of the
he went up both
property line.
sides.
That's what it
Correct.
looks like.
That's what it
without-
looks like without having
But
a
again, that's not
survey.
enough.
No, it's not an us issue. I believe, in my opinion, it's between the two homeowners to figure it out.
Okay, I tend to agree.
I would have to go with the advice of council. Oh.
can you come to
You
this?
can come up and.
We allow.
Okay.
We want to look.
Right. Well, I kind of want to have a position because we're gonna be here all night.
Yeah,
So what's the advice, council?
We would need to look into, I guess, the two parties and what statutory process was actually taken, if they were claiming that.
I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so you're one of the homeowners?
Yes.
Was there any statutory process?
I can't hear you.
Was there any statutory process to claim adverse possession of that land?
No, we'd like to know who owns the land if you're saying that you don't.
We're saying we-
so hold on a second. I've spoken to Jan about this and the take is she agrees that the district should not get involved. We've never claimed that land. We've never maintained it. It's always been the homeowner. And the homeowner that has the issue with the other gentleman cutting it down, and I've sent you the pictures, over years, that homeowner has planted, taken out, maintained that
The one that
area. No,
Oh,
the one,
other home.
yes. And then
Okay.
this homeowner moved in, did whatever, and came over and cut the stuff, and now it's become a CDD problem. And it's not really it's not our concern. It's not our issue. We shouldn't be getting involved with two homeowners.
I know Crow will not get involved, homeowner to homeowner, but it also is a Crow issue where you change your landscaping without
Yeah, but
permission.
it's
No,
not-
he
but-
submitted. The homeowner that
submitted,
cut
Crow-
stuff down,
Crow accepted the-
he submitted it and approved it. So for them, they're saying, nope, he submitted a plan and it was approved
But
and now,
that's actually what it was us.
I'm not worried about
That
that.
has nothing to do with us. So
nope.
I,
Wasn't.
It wasn't approved?
but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But what I'm saying is, it
No.
doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it was approved or not.
The
That's
trees were
Crow.
approved before the plan.
Oh. Okay.
Again, I just, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see
Now,
more.
excuse me, I'd like to know if there will be any deterrent by the council for Mr. Schwartz in 1064 to come in and not like something else on the property, or perhaps a tree that you might plant. I want to know if this is not going to set a bad precedent in our community. These were 20, 30-foot trees and it was a landmark oasis that was there way before my husband and I lived there. It was a place, I don't want to get emotional, I want to stick to the objective facts. But I was sorry to hear Tom Tucson approved such a thing to happen, and we never found
Wait,
out.
whoa,
There was
whoa.
someone told me that.
Well,
told
then
me
that's not
that-
true. I haven't approved
Yeah.
anything.
Well, I'm pleased to hear
So
that.
I
Yeah.
am deeply offended by it, because it's the
I do
second time
hope
I've heard
that you all enjoyed these trees and this oasis, and people in the community are up in arms about this landmark disappearing. And we want to know the boundaries. I'm happy maintaining this beautiful area. And luckily, from the last tree that the gentleman cut down, that it has suckered, and these lovely other ones are coming up and growing quickly. And it'll make a beautiful oasis long after my husband and I have gone. And I'm happy maintaining it. It's a joy for me and for people in the community to find a shady spot. And we appreciate all the interest that you've shown. And I do hope you've read the letters in detail. The questions are there. You know, I just would like a resolution. We forgive Mr. Schwartz for what he's done, and we want to live amicably with him. But I was saddened to see on the landscaping application that his landscaping was coming into the CDD property. I'm just wondering what's going to happen there. I'm very happy with what's happening at the moment. We don't want any ill will with anyone or throwing anyone under the bus. We just want to have a beautiful little landmark again, a shady tree for people walking along the street, and to bring it back to a little bit of what it was.
All right,
I
thank you,
would
ma'am.
be saddened if there was already the landscaping and irrigation has been destroyed, but we're happy to fix that.
All right, thank you, ma'am. If we can get back so we can
Yeah,
get a
it's,
motion on it.
as far as removing CDD trees, the tree in the right of way, he didn't touch. It's still in front of his home. So none of that was touched in the CDD right of way.
But all of the oasis and the tall trees went.
So
So is there a motion or a petition?
There was already a motion that we had approved 2 or 3 meetings ago that
Which was-
we were not a piece of this, so.
we're not getting involved.
It's pending a motion, whether or not we want to make a motion now or.
Excuse me,
No.
there was one other factor. I do really think there should be a deterrent, a fine for Mr. Schwartz.
We can't find
fine.
Who does the fine?
We don't have
We're not
that.
allowed to do
That's
No
pro,
way.
pro
Yeah.
compliant.
What's to stop him coming in? Yeah.
So we can cut down any CCD trees.
No.
No,
Well, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
no, that's not what happened.
Trees, we did not plant our trees.
No.
Guys, let's get back to the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
we have a motion on the table.
I'm not paying.
I don't know if there's a motion necessary.
There's not.
there's not.
If we choose to stay with staff's recommendation and legal's recommendation, there's not a motion necessary.
Then
What's to stop this
Okay.
fellow in our community? To chop down anything else he doesn't like.
well, I think we can say definitively, you cannot cut down the CCD tree,
And
Yes.
yes, and he has not.
and he has not.
Correct.
There's a deterrent.
So what do we do?
It would be a dispute with the two
Yeah,
homeowners.
it would be a
It not
dispute
involve
between-
the
So does the Osceola County property line get readjusted so that their property line goes up to the sidewalk to include this 3.5 feet?
You would,
How does-
you
You would have to
would have to
petition.
meet.
Petition that.
You would take it to the county.
You don't know. You do or you
Not,
don't?
not operational.
Not
Well,
yet.
not operation, but who owns it? Because their property was straight across.
So I can tell you definitively, and maybe this will help bring some clarity. If the CDD was to get involved, what we would do is rip out all the landscaping that she has put in, other than what is on her property and what is on Mr. Schwartz's property. We would rip up the sidewalk and we would reclaim that 3.5 feet, right? There's a lot of spots throughout the community that are like that were designed that way. Unfortunately, the plat did not get changed, conveying that property back over, like say to the homeowner. They left it in the district because the plat's done well before the community plan is completed. So technically, on paper, yes, according to the plat, the district owns about 3.5 feet without getting it surveyed. I don't know an exact amount, but I would say 3 to 3.5 feet from that back of sidewalk into her property. So if we were to do that, we would rip up everything because technically she's planted things on CDD property that she cannot plant stuff. No one can plant anything on CDD property.
So now going forward, do we call this CDD property or do we not call it?
I would assume that she would continue to do what she's done, which is always, and I went back years. I mean, I don't know, I think I went back to 2016 or 17. 2011, where the homeowner, don't know if that was you at the time, but whomever
Yes, it
was
was
there
I
was
planted it.
planting stuff, removing stuff, planting stuff, maintaining it.
And it
So
brought a lot of joy.
I would assume that they would continue to do what they're doing.
I'd be happy
So
to.
that it, and I don't know the legal term, by doing that, by doing the planting and the maintaining and all that over the years, does that like make that her property now?
So
What's the word?
functionally, yes. Yeah, I mean, you would have to take that up with the county, and, you know, go that route on it. But there's a property line, obviously, between you and your neighbor. So down that property line, it would show what's whose and who belongs where.
I'm just concerned because we have a variable here and it's our neighbour. I'm happy to maintain it, but I don't know what he's capable of having come and chopped down even on well and truly on our land, chopped down a beautiful tree that he even said he liked when I first saw him the one time. So he's a variable.
It would be a dispute.
It's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? But thank you, and
Thank
thank
you,
you
ma'am.
for all the work you do.
Sorry.
Thank you.
It's come home to me now, what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Angel 17, resolution 2025.
Amending the budget in the general fund. If you look on there, it's the recommendation to increase it. I have it. I think it's what, 140,000. And that is, obviously, as you know, we don't know things that we're trying to close out the year. We have until your next meeting to close that out. And there could be some stragglers coming in that are fiscal year 24 as opposed to 25. So to be on the safe side, they kind of overestimate that budget amendment. And if I can find it, hold on.
Motion.
Move to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7F, we already covered. Anybody want to raise a 7G for gentleman that was here earlier? On the.
What does his ask as far as
Pay for the.
how much money is that?
Just under 600
Yeah,
bucks.
that's five.
$518, is that what he said?
So, so I have, so here's the thing, 6,000 foot level. I have a very big problem with having any resident in the district decide to spend our money without our approval. I think there's an issue with that. I understand the circumstances. I get all that. But that you know, I could have had the tree cut in front of my house if I had called the number. And listen, I call Russ, I'll call Angel because I always get complaints. Oh, I call the emergency number, no one call me. I always get you guys. I always get them. So, and in order for me to go ahead and take that role, I have to go ahead and get permission. Right? I just can't go and do whatever I want, you know, in celebration. I gotta get permission. Didn't get permission. We got all these different stuff, but I think it's a dangerous precedent to go ahead and say, didn't get a hold of anybody, did this, you owe me. So that's in essence what he's saying.
Well, or he didn't get the right answer or the answer he wanted.
That's what.
Well,
it
no,
comes
the
down
problem I
to.
have is, according to him, he didn't get
He wasn't even in the country, number one. And I'm sorry, if Dave's neighbor calls us to do something on Dave's behalf, we're not going to do it. We're not going to respond to Dave's neighbor. We're going to respond to Dave. He's the resident. And number two, I stand behind staff's decision and I stand behind what Russ and United did. The board you have the ultimate last say, but I stand behind the decision staff made. Two reasons. Number one, We weren't dealing with the resident. The person who called didn't even leave her name and number. Jasmine, thank goodness she has the wherewithal to look it up and find out who called him back in 11 minutes. Okay. And number three, we made the decision not to remove the tree. We went out there. It was a decision we made. Now, had that tree fallen into that house, right? Who do you think is going to be responsible? We are, because we made the decision, even though it's the district, but I guarantee you, all 5 of you sitting here, as you should, go, huh, you made the decision, you stand behind it, now you're going to replace this man's window, his porch, whatever the case may be. So I stand behind our decision. And if the board wants to overrule that, I'm happy to do whatever you want. You want us to cut him a check for $500 something? I will absolutely do that out of the district's money, but I stand behind what our staff did.
And I'm not taking it as a affront to what's listed. It's 4 PM on a Friday. My concern, a couple of things that I heard, and they're small, but they're important in here. It's not, as a resident, it's not his tree, right? It's no different than if I go down the street and say, hey, there's a light pole that's falling over. It doesn't have to be in my house, in front of my house,
it doesn't.
Call it in. So the fact that the neighbors called it in on his behalf, to me, doesn't really matter. Anybody should be able to call in on a district tree.
And that's why we went and looked at it, because we got a call. But where he's negating or arguing the fact that nobody got in touch with him, first of all, we didn't even have his information.
Right.
We talked to the resident who did it. Jasmine had a 20-minute conversation. Who called it in? We went out. We didn't ignore it. We didn't ignore it because the resident didn't call.
And that's why I say, I'm in your defense on your side on it.
Yep.
We don't owe a call back to somebody who it may be coming close to their house. We owe a call back to whoever called it in.
That's right.
Because it is a common area thing.
And we did. We called them back. We went out and evaluated. We did not ignore it. We took a landscape specialist with us. They made the determination. Now,
so
Saturday could have fallen on his house. That would have been on us. We made the decision.
I disagree with that. In Florida, if you have a tree on your property that falls on somebody else's house, who has to repair the house?
It depends.
It's normally the homeowner's got to replace it.
Typically the homeowner,
It
but
depends on the health of the tree.
Yeah.
And we, by the notification, we're
Yes.
notified that there's an issue with the
we've
tree,
been put on
so it will
notice.
be on us.
That is correct.
And so here's the reality, okay? Russ, you visited my tree, I think last year, I said, hey, can you come out and check my tree? Because I keep losing these big branches, right? Checked it out and said, you know what, it looks fine, okay? If I, for one, decide, oh my gosh, this thing is leaning, can't get a hold of anybody, whatever. If I choose to call somebody and cut the tree down, I'm paying for it. I made the decision. I made the phone call, got the contract with the guy cutting it. I made it. I can't, hey Russ, you owe me $600. Where did that come from? No one approved that.
Well, now let me go to the other side. Since we have to replace a tree and he's taken away one of our trees, do we charge him for the tree?
And see, that was the other point where I could have easily shifted it and go, well, because to Russ's thing, when they went out there, they hadn't determined yet if the tree needed to come out or if it could be reset. We could have saved the tree, potentially, maybe we couldn't have, but we weren't given that opportunity to do that. And he went ahead and cut it down. So
So let me twist this around. So we'll pay the $600. You're gonna have to go ahead and pay the $600 for the replacement.
No, the $2,000.
yeah, I was gonna say.
But you see this dilemma.
Yeah.
Listen, when you start with one, let's look at the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. Look at both sides.
It's not such an easy thing. Listen, I feel for it. I know they were very nervous, but I think the neighbors got them very nervous and worked up, and then somebody just made the call. Right? I mean, that's what happens. All these phone calls going on. Your tree's gonna fall. I see it. Guy's not even in town.
I mean, listen.
Hire somebody to cut it.
If my neighbors walked up one day and saw a tree was, and I don't know if it's leaning 45 degrees, as I said before, but it was more than should be.
Right.
It would be, yeah. I as a homeowner, I may have the same reaction of, I'm gonna go cut this. Now again,
And rightfully so.
The repercussions of that, of who I'm paying it, I don't disagree with what
No,
you're
you
saying.
have every right. Listen, at the end of the day, you have every right to protect your home.
Absolutely.
Right? No one says that they didn't have the right to go ahead and do that to protect the home that they thought was
And the reason I say that is because I don't, I don't want to come across as that we're contemplating going after him for the cost of the.
I don't wanna
replacement
do
of the
that. I don't wanna do that, but at the same time,
tree. I hear what you're saying.
listen, I listened to all of it.
Yep.
It didn't rain. It could rain. You could say that about every day in Florida, right? I didn't get a phone call. I called town hall. I heard town hall mentioned like 18 times. I stopped counting after that. There was a lot of disconnect here, but aside from that, they made the decision on their own. It's bad precedent to allow anyone to do whatever they want and then come out and say, we're gonna go ahead and do it first.
And might add just real quick, that you know how the front porch goes in that, if this starts to blossom, everyone's gonna call and say, I need my tree looked at, and then they're off the hook after that. 20 years from now, I called.
But I'm gonna throw the alternative out here, and I know you don't want to hear this one, Angel, but you had the separate one on Spring Park Loop where exactly what you described has happened. Where the guy called and he waited and he waited.
We had a hurricane.
I understand.
That is completely different than going out and looking at a tree today and going, nope, the tree's gonna be on our watch list, and then the next day it falls over. We had a hurricane.
Right, but the guy emailed us in March.
Seen that tree.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, and again, I'm not trying to throw daggers, but I'm trying to find where the right answer is, because the guy emailed us in March and said, hey, the tree is leaning towards my house. According to him, didn't have, and thank you that he did get responses, he just didn't like the responses.
That's right.
But then we had the first hurricane, where right after that, that's where he emailed and said, hey, it's hurricane season. I realize it's an act of God, but it's an act of God that we know happens.
Do you know how many trees we would have to take down if they're leaning? Like hundreds.
Or someone called in.
Or someone called and said, hey, I mean, we
What
put
I'm
them on a watch
what I'm
list for a reason.
But what I'm suggesting is that's a conversation I think this board needs to have.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it's not the only tree that's leaning.
No.
We have got trees that are dying, and I appreciate the fact that staff is trying to save the trees and save the money for replacing the trees. And maybe that was the one-off, but I guarantee it's not. There are other trees that are dying.
There's like 15 on Spring
We need
Park
to have an
Loop
honest
alone.
conversation.
Well, can we first put a bow on 7G?
Right.
Yeah.
Say,
Right.
we're sorry, we're not reimbursing any tree replacement.
That's.
I think we should.
So.
I think we should make a motion on it rather than just doing a non-motion. I would suggest we actually have a vote.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, are you making that motion?
I'm making a motion that, there is no replacement to be done at this location on Castle Street.
All right, got a second?
No reimbursement?
No reimbursement.
Okay. Because we are gonna replace the tree.
Yeah, we need
Okay.
that.
Okay, so we're not reversing, we are replacing, we're not charging them for the replacement. Okay.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Hold on a
Yeah.
second.
I don't know.
Wait a minute. What?
Yep.
Everybody just caught on to something.
Because if
that I-
somebody, according
If
to our
somebody
tree
cuts down-
policy, if they cut the
Yeah,
tree down, they are responsible for a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the policy. So
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
but I'll tell you
I
what,
think
I would
we-
waive that with your no reimbursement.
Mm.
Okay.
So I go
Then
keep,
you gotta think about
I don't know
what
about
happened down
So
Yeah.
It is deviating from the policy.
I understand it. I think that was the last meeting and the meeting beforehand, because I can't remember anything that happened in the last 2 weeks. But I think we need to, whether in a meeting or a workshop, really have a uniform every tree policy for preserves and everything else and advertise the hell out of it. Because this abuse is ridiculous.
And we do, and there's always gonna be, 9 times out of 10, things should fall within the policy, but there's always gonna be a, think about that.
I get that, but there's people are getting aggressive.
The only,
all right, cause then
the
look
only,
back.
the only way you're gonna be able to do this is because we do have a policy in place and we have to adhere to the policy. So the only way that we could do this to show goodwill is we are gonna waive your replacement fee and we are not gonna reimburse you.
Is that the way to do it?
To make it like a
So-
wash, like the rest of
So, because I would also say, staff had not yet determined that we weren't gonna cut the tree down.
That
They
is
were-
correct.
They were going back on Monday, so the honest answer is that tree may have come down anyway. So I don't feel like we should be charging them for something staff was gonna come back out and maybe come to that determination.
But they took that opportunity from us.
I understand that. Let's just get through this night and get it over.
Right.
It's fast checks anyway.
So
Okay, so-
a motion for no reimbursement and we're waiving the replacement fee.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
that,
I'll second it.
okay?
Any other discussion? I hate to ask the question, do we need?
Just
Don't ask.
don't call the question.
Don't ask.
Call the question.
Just go.
Go ahead.
That's it.
Very well.
That's okay.
I don't have to call the question on myself.
You should.
All right.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed?
And I'll relay that back to the resident,
Good news, bad news.
compliment sandwich.
All right, I'm gonna put an item 7H,
We'll
because
go.
it did not make it the agenda.
Come on.
Oh, yeah,
We don't have resolution 2025-02 on the agenda.
I know.
Okay.
It was under, it was gonna be under my, district management, which we're up to.
We should do it now.
Yeah, we're up to it. We're up to mine.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're shaking your head no, you can't.
Oh, no. I'm saying it wasn't on the agenda. You were right in that
No,
aspect.
you can absolutely do it right now.
Oh, sorry. It's not on the agenda. I had planned to do it under my report. So here we go.
Just open public, just because it wasn't
Yeah,
on the agenda.
That's fine.
Yeah,
It's just a resolution.
Do we need public comment?
you would open it, yeah.
Any public comment on resolution 2025-02, a resolution of the Board of Supervisors recognizing the contributions of Ms. Cassandra Starks? Come on, Gary.
Come on, Gary, you're here. We gave you pizza.
Longer.
Yeah, that's right.
It's Cassandra's last chance to hear.
Let's get Steven up here, big comment.
He's been waiting back there for 3 hours. Come on, let's get it over.
Now Steven knows, like, I'm not just hanging out.
Right?
You know,
He's like,
you know,
"Oh,
with the girls.
this is what she's doing.
Oh, now we're the girl, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the board, so I do want to go through and read this. You know, as Cassandra and Jack and I all came on at the same time in 2000. I think the board here has made a lot of changes. Some may say it's good, some may say it's bad. I know Cassandra and I have probably disagreed on as much as we've agreed on. But I love the fact that with Cassandra and everybody else on this board, I feel like together we have made the community a little bit better. I don't know if it's been a ton better, but I feel like every time we come, there's a little bit more that we're progressing this. And I think we've all been trying what we can to you know, be wise of the dollars, but also be wise of, hey, this is our home and there's expectations we have. And I appreciate you being a part of that over the past 4 years. So any other comments from any other board members?
Yeah, I want to thank you for the profession.
Yes.
I really value that.
Oh.
So it's great working for you, and I'm sure you are going to be ecstatic about not coming to another one of these meetings. I know that. I know at 10 o'clock, you're like, what the? You know, I'm going to see you running out of here. Well, there you go, you know, but thank you very much.
Stole my thunder. I was thanking you for taking the waterfall.
Oh, man, that's.
Just for the best of root, please. You know, Supervisor Sweat.
I do want to say it has been a huge pleasure to work with you just over the last 4 years that I've been here. I've enjoyed it and thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. I've enjoyed working with everyone here. I consider it an honor and a
Except Jack.
privilege. You know, I got to know him. You know, looking at
we're
you know, I know
North Village
Jerry.
neighbors.
Yeah, now you know I know his name.
Of course,
not
North
just
Village,
Jerry.
there it is again.
But that honor and a privilege to be a part of this board, to work on behalf of our residents. And I think it's great what we've been able to accomplish. You know, we don't always agree, but we can talk it out.
Yep.
You know,
Yep, I think it's important.
and you know, try to go with whatever we feel is the best for the residents. And I just look forward to what this board will do for the community in the future. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate
resolution
everything.
2025-02, just to read into the record. Whereas the Celebration Community Development District is a special purpose district created by law and established by the Florida Land and Water Adjudicatory Commission pursuant to Chapter 190. And whereas the district is a special purpose local government charged with the sole duty and responsibility of managing the works of the district, including designing, financing, constructing, and operating capital infrastructure to support Celebration, a planned community in Osceola County, Florida. And whereas the major function of the district was and is the pinpointed management of the works of the district, including roads, alleys, street lighting, sidewalks, landscaping, stormwater management, aquatic weed control, and mosquito control. And whereas Cassandra Starks demonstrated a dedication and devotion to preserving and protecting the interests of the district and assuring the aforementioned infrastructure systems be managed to the highest standards in a timely and economical way. And whereas Ms. Starks' energy, creativity, guidance, counsel, and efforts constitute a substantial contribution to the continued outstanding success of the celebration community. And whereas Ms. Starks provided leadership, wisdom, and direction in serving on the Board of Supervisors since November 2020 as secretary from November 2021 through December 2022, and as assistant secretary from December 2022 through October 2024, and as the district spokesperson for the community connections. And whereas the board finds it fitting and proper that the official recognition be given to Ms. Starks for her many achievements and her dedication to the celebration community. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Supervisors of the Celebration Community Development District, for and on behalf of themselves and on behalf of the district, express their appreciation and gratitude to Ms. Starks for her efforts and contributions to the ongoing success of the celebration community. Unanimously approved and executed this 22nd day of October, 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You made it. You
And
made it.
now, when I see you all out, we can actually have a conversation. People get upset.
I'm sure it always goes the other way.
It's like, if I see Jack, hey. You know?
Most people say
Oh,
that.
Well, thank you.
Number one, I am amazed that there's that many words on that little piece of paper.
Let's
see.
Well, like the font.
I broke it.
Oh, no.
I broke the frame. I gotta get you.
Are you kidding me?
Look,
Oh,
just
you
now.
did.
I did.
Do I need to read all that again?
Please.
I'll get you a new frame and give this to you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine. Just call me.
Yeah, I can't believe I just broke it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Spend
Wow.
an extra $1 in a better frame.
Don't know your own script.
Oh, all right.
Is that when you were pounding the table?
Yeah,
That's what I read.
this tree issue, right?
Which one?
All right, on to regular reports, section 8, field manager. Well, usually we have an 8A. I have a manager's.
Where's
report.
8A?
Yeah, that's me.
You're 8B now. No.
Yeah, it just went straight to 8B in the agenda.
No, it's
No,
district
I'm
manager.
looking at the agenda.
I'm looking at the agenda
Where's
too.
Jen?
Oh, we're
District
looking at the.
I'm looking at the
page.
actual pages.
There's no report.
Oh, no, I don't ever have a physical report in there. Number one, we wanted to give an hurricane impact, Hurricane Milton impact. As I've stated to some of you individually, and it's together, I feel like our staff has done an amazing job getting hurricane cleanup. I think it's been a very timely thing. They've worked Saturdays, they put in a lot of hours. They've done really well with the cleanup, and I think it's actually gone very quick.
I would echo
And-
that. I think Russ has done a great job.
I
It's
do.
maybe it's not just me, it's the guys out in the
Yeah.
field
Russ and
too.
your-
The guys
Russ and
are organized,
Let me
but-
see, Russ and your team.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, I'll give credit where it's due, and the guys are out there.
Yeah, they're
Chicken.
busting their butt like this was their own home. So it was very impressive to see. And Russ, you have an update. I know they worked this past Saturday, which a new update went out.
Yeah, I
Today
checked
or
with the
yesterday?
map. I mean, I think we'll be done by Friday, and then we'll just like, next week, do, you know, if there's another little hanger, or there's a couple little branches like on the back of the pond, but it's not affecting the roadways or sidewalks or anything like that, so.
Well, I think the key thing was to get it off the roads, anything that was dangerous to person or property.
Yep.
And then was to do some of the cleanup.
Well, and I
I'm
want
gonna
to,
go ahead and I think probably tomorrow I'll go ahead and contact Rain or Shine. That's who we used last time for debris removal and get them. Well, we need to get scheduled on their
Yeah.
agenda.
you mean to start taking a pile down?
Yeah, I have a couple of recommendations or requests from the board. So once we get through and the whole cleanup's done, I'd kind of like to schedule a workshop to talk about a couple of things. One is, how did the hurricane cleanup go?
Yeah.
What can we do better next time? And here's a definitive plan of what we're doing when a hurricane comes. We're going to start on this day. We're, kind of what we've already done. But if you guys want to incorporate any changes or what you'd like to see, I'd really like to talk about that, kind of a debrief of how it went is one thing. The second is trees, because we get notified every day, all day long, about the tree in front of someone's home, whether it's leaning, it's diseased, I want it to come down. There's always an issue, right? Because they know we're not going to come out if there's not an issue. So we go out, and not every tree has to be removed. So they make a decision, sometimes taking landscaper or an arborist or whatever the case may be, to go out and go, that tree's good for now. We're going to watch it. And in this case, the one specifically, that was the thing. Every time he called and going, we want this tree taken down. I think he even said it was diseased or dead or something. And Russ and them went out and looked at it numerous times, every time he called, and put it on a watch list. Well, hurricane comes and what happens? It falls over. There's a ton of trees like that in Celebration. So I just kind of want some directive, like, if you guys have a time frame of, okay, once we put it on a watch list, if it's a month, then let's remove it. Let's make sure we remove all watch list trees before a hurricane. Just kind of, let's put our heads together and kind of come up with something, because again, don't want something like this to happen. But again, every time someone makes a call, if we don't put it on the watch list and we're just removing a tree every single time someone calls us because of whatever reason, we're going to be removing trees constantly.
Do you think we could do both the tree conversation and the after action report in the same workshop?
Yes.
Okay.
I absolutely do.
Okay.
So one thing I want to add is that, because Russ and I were talking about it, residents also want someone, tree's not looking good. I don't like it.
Correct.
I want a new tree. Yeah, that's not us.
That's not us.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of calls like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking like 2 or 3 day. No, a lot of calls. And the problem with that is it takes away our resource and stuff. So again, our policies might have to be a little tighter, a little more unforgiving. Just because, from a manpower perspective, we can't keep sending staff out and check trees all day because somebody just doesn't like their tree. If there's an issue, yes, but you get there and there's no issue. That's costing us money. So we really got to be serious about this, because and not just trees. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people want services for free. A lot of things. It's amazing. I mean,
Everybody wants services for free.
yeah, I don't campaign to call people to get services for free. I mean, I can understand if the root is pushing up my fence. I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and cut that root. No, I needed somebody else to do it. And I think in terms of man hours, we put dollars attached to that. That's costing us a lot of money for this stuff.
So my suggestion would be, let's wait until the next meeting, because if Shell's coming on, he's gonna be a part of that, and then we can schedule something maybe, because it's gonna take us another 30 days before, not just a cleanup, but just all the other administrative stuff. So we're not in a rush to do the after action, but.
No, I just
Sandra,
want
I'd like
to,
see you at that workshop.
I just want to debrief and debrief about the hurricane, and then kind of wrap our hands around the tree.
Right.
The tree concern, because it is a big concern, and where I think staff, or at least my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of do err on the conservative side because of how sensitive the tree subject is in Celebration. So we try and err on the more conservative side of where if we can put it on a watch list and watch it, maybe it comes back, whatever the issue may be, barring a health and safety issue. But then again, we make that call and a hurricane comes and knocks a tree over, which there's a lot in Celebration that are in that situation now where a good hurricane or wind comes through and some of those trees are going over.
But you could also have 100% of a healthy tree
That's going to go over.
and the one that I thought, oh, that's got to be, it's still there.
It's still there. Exactly. So it's just, I mean, again, just come up with some sort of criteria, parameters. The other thing that we are seeing a lot of right now too, that's something we need to talk about, or not really talk about, because I don't really think there's a resolution to it other than what we're doing, which is picking up storm debris on alleyways. We don't do that. We're not doing it. There's not a lot of room back there to do that. So we've asked everybody, put it in the right of way in front of your home. Well, I'm getting a lot of emails and even tickets now. Well, I put it in the alleyway. Why won't you go back there and get it? We're not going back there and get it. I was very clear in the
I think
directive.
to the point of,
you know,
we've had a good plan internally as far as here's how we do villages, here's who comes in, all that kind of stuff. But I think advertising that plan in advance, here's how this happens. Because right now I feel like we're reacting, and we are. When the hurricane comes through, we're now trying to react and get the messaging out quick, as opposed to if we just publish it and say, hey, here's the standard process. And some things are going to vary hurricane to hurricane.
And
But as a norm, we're going to ask you to put things in your front easement. As a norm, we're not going to take things out of the street. As a norm,
You're
it's
still
going to
gonna
take us
have to say it beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah, but a couple of alleyways that they wanted done, the other reason why they did that is because everything came out of their backyard.
Exactly.
Not their front yard, not their side.
I get why, and I'm not.
you know.
Nobody's disputing that, but I think the after action meeting and getting a standardized plan, to your point, but that's why I also said we need to do a better job as a board communicating some of that stuff. Nobody's gonna read everything, but
So
if we do the good faith effort to put something out there, I feel okay saying, I'm not gonna clean your alleyway because I told you 6 months ago we don't do that.
We, during this, we created a protocol.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all we
That's-
do is we hit send whenever there's a hurricane.
And that's what I want.
And the bad thing is too.
Yeah.
I know we're wanting to put the stuff in the easement, but I know we're being recorded. If it's in the roadway, we can pick it up twice. I'm just saying if it
Stop
was.
that.
I'm just saying.
We are not
So I
picking up
think-
anything in the
I
roads.
think what we're gonna do is the county does this too, right? And Florida does it too. In April, and then we'll send it again in July, right before we start getting, we have our hurricane plan.
Yep.
And everybody knows exactly what's expected of everyone, because when Angel says we need to have a meeting to talk about, what we need to do. No, I think we need to talk about what we need to do, the community. There's a responsibility of every resident of what they need to do. And if they don't do it, then they need to take care of it, because we can't keep, doing, again, the free services. When we gave them rules to do, and some of them really said, I know I read it that I'm supposed to put it in the front of my house, but you know what? It was easier if okay, well, there you go. So I mean, that's just,
We need to, that article in the Celebration News, just have a review.
Use that.
Over and
Yeah.
over, starting in April for
Yeah.
a few months, the same article about what to do with your.
I know this one may be a touchy subject, but I'm gonna ask the board
No,
as a whole,
no.
please, I'm begging you, please. I know that it is inevitable for residents to contact you, being a board member. I get that. Please engage, do whatever it is you want to do. But please, at the end of the day, do not engage with these long things, because here's what's happening. They're not calling the office. They're not submitting a ticket. They're having a conversation with a board member, and this big, long diatribe's going on. And then all of a sudden, when it gets dumped in our lap, we don't have all the history of the conversation. So when we say something and we're following policy or procedure, then it's like, well, Jack said this. And I'm going, no, I know.
Thank you, Jack.
I'm just saying, because that's gonna be the standard, that's the standard response that we're hearing. Well, Jack said this, or Greg approved this, or Cassandra said that, or Tom said this, like her saying, well, Tom Tucson approved that.
Yeah.
Tom,
you know what, the name we didn't say, we all know who it is.
well, and I'll tell you exactly,
My name appeared in the email. I'm like.
it is,
"Person."
because here's what was said. No one said you approved anything. What we said was a board member, Tom Tucson, has actually gone out with us to look at the property,
And
and you
approved it.
did.
And approved it.
No, yeah, there was nothing to approve,
Was North
but
Village?
this
I
is,
love
this
it.
is what I'm saying, when you're having these conversations and we don't know what's going on, and all of a sudden we're giving one piece of information and it's conflicting with a board member, and it's like,
Right.
well, no, they said you were gonna, well, I don't even know what you're talking about.
I tell them.
So it's creating havoc,
Go to
is
the
my
app.
point.
Here's the phone number, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna need to do, because otherwise, people are like, I have a problem. I'm like, well, you need to call it in.
And I'm not saying,
I don't
you're a
wanna-
resident, I can't talk to you, don't talk to me, I'm a board member. No, that's never gonna happen. I get that. But whatever information is talked about, just please direct them to us to get an answer. And let us know, hey, I talked to this guy, this is what I said, whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
because what's happening is now Russ is being caught off guard. He comes to me and he's like, Angel, we already talked about this, but this board member, and I'm going, what?
Well,
What's happening?
And the thread I see, and Tom was at fault, so it was him because he got named. But in the emails I've seen,
Mhm.
the common message is, and it's usually not correct, is I reported it and I didn't get a response.
That is correct. And I can always prove.
Right.
Number one, we have call logs. Number two, even if someone doesn't leave a message, I can show when they called.
Right.
I have email confirmations, stuff like that. Now, I will tell you, this is true. There are some people, Dave being one of them, I think Tom actually being one of them, and some residents, I'm sure, that have submitted a ticket in the early part when we started it, that their ticket never was responded to, or it wasn't closed, or yeah, maybe one too. So that I can tell you we have rectified, or at least
Well,
I
all
hope
knew that
we
was gonna
have.
be a thing in the first
Yeah,
few months. That
and
was-
no excuse, because that actually did happen. But when they call the office or the emergency number, I can sit here in front of you definitively and say they get a response. And if it's the after hours number, that goes to him and it goes to me. And they do not stop calling. First, it comes with a text, then they call until somebody answers. You've gotten them at what, 2 in the morning?
Never gets turned off.
Never, mine either. I mean, you know, I've talked to some of you at 10, 11 o'clock at night,
At
9.
a point in this conversation where, short of it truly being a real emergency, and we can define what those are,
Mhm.
we don't take tickets by phone. If somebody
No.
calls in, I would like to get to the point where we can
Yeah,
say, as a
we're not
district,
there yet.
hey,
but-
guys, we are confident enough in GoGov. Thank you for your call. What I need you to do is go download my cell service
Mhm.
and go put in a ticket.
Well,
Thank you for calling.
or they can go in the browser right now, they don't have to download utility calls.
Yeah, the most
Two
I
in
will
the
say
morning,
the
yeah.
emergency calls that we get after hours are utility breaks,
Right.
water main line, stuff like that.
That kind of stuff
Majority.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you, we get a lot of call-ins right now that are like, hey, I've got this, and Jasmine is inputting those into the system right now instead of telling them, go do the app. I mean, she's incorporating that conversation, but we're just doing it right now. And for a while, we weren't even putting them into the app. She was writing out work orders and handing them to the guys. So, but that'll get better over time, and we'll have the
But I
conversations
think
and
that-
just
That
educate.
needs to be the objective. So as we're
Yeah.
getting into that workshop, I think that needs to be what does staff need in order to, what are the
Mhm.
10 things that need to happen? Because if we keep taking things over the phone,
Yeah.
we get into we're going to continue the he said, she said
Agreed.
conversations.
So that was my only request, is please direct them to management. I don't care. You can give them my cell phone number. I don't care.
That's what she's avoiding Jack. I get it. You don't think I know this? I got
Please
kids.
call the
You're the one who was
office.
called out, not me.
Well, and
Wait till
listen,
tomorrow.
Angel,
Check Facebook.
to your first comment on
I don't-
just staff, I mean, I want to say that,
He will.
I think I was on the phone with you all about 10 or 11. I mean, the wind was still going. Russ was here by about 11. We had
Takes me an hour to get here too, so.
Right.
It's up to 10.
So I mean, and I just want to say this on the record. I mean, I read the Orlando Sentinel had an article talking about how Orange County, some places are going to be over a month before you even think about having somebody show up to your house.
Yeah.
And that's even for some of the stuff of leaning trees and hangers and all that. I mean, we're talking life safety things. They may be several weeks.
Yeah.
Never mind actually cleaning up all the stuff.
That's right.
We had actually talked last year after I had the conversation with the county about whether or not we wanted to tell the county. And the county said, hey, if you call us, we'll come clean your stuff up. Now, what they didn't say was how long it was going to take them to do it.
That's right.
So, and Angel and I had this conversation right before the storm, and that's where I said, you know what, even though we talked about it, let's stay with the plan of the district doing this because, for anybody that's out there, I got it. 2 or 3 weeks is inconvenient, but it's inconvenient. It is not a life-threatening emergency. There's sticks by the side of the road and they will get cleaned up and we will all move on. So again, staff, I stand by on that 100%. You guys were out here and had that tree on honeysuckle. That was.
Are you still cutting it?
I was trying.
So
anyway.
thank you. And that was my last thing as far as a request from the board.
Field report.
You noticed there wasn't one in there because of the hurricane.
Yeah.
But I'll make up for it next time. I do have a picture. I went down Market Square today and I'm looking, the 2 oak trees we have down by the water.
Oh, yeah.
There is a pile of palm fronds on the Esplanade about like that, the whole damn length of that. So I emailed someone from Lexington. I haven't got a response back yet. I don't know if she still works there.
They cut them and leave them there?
They cut all the palm trees on Market Square, but they're all on the Esplanade.
Oh, no.
Are those our trees?
Nope.
Oh, but they put the debris on.
Yeah, we're not.
And want us to pick it up.
That was why I just wanted to bring it up. So tomorrow you don't say, well, why don't you say something?
Is it still there? We didn't pick it
I
up,
don't know.
did
This
we?
was probably 11 o'clock.
Did we pick it up?
No.
Okay.
Who did you message?
We didn't have our equipment
Salty.
there. Yeah.
Salty.
We're.
Well, actually, it's like there somewhere.
Something we don't know about.
Yeah.
pretty salty, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I always call him salty.
So like I said, we're just gonna continue moving on with the cleanup. I do expect to have all the big, large stuff cleaned up by Friday, and then we're just gonna go around and really, I guess you might say, wax the car, even though we've already washed it, and clean up, there's a little stick over there type of thing, and a little tiny branch hanging up there.
My only question I had on cleanup, Angel, more for you. Brenda had sent the note, and I'm trying to remember the schedule for us to get it in, because it's a decreasing percentage as we wait
Mhm.
longer and longer.
It's phased. Mhm.
And is that a 60-day or 90-day? What's the 100%?
It's a 90-day, so we're well ahead of schedule to be able to get in our first round, which by the sounds of it,
Yeah, we're ready right now.
we should be able to get in everything.
Okay.
Rain or shine, we'll be able to hear their pricing, and all of that, so we should be able to get it in. Also,
If you know someone else, it's just who we've used, I don't.
I don't know, I've got some other people, but regardless, we're gonna beat the deadline
Okay.
for the first submission. There may be a couple of things lingering for phase 2 that we might get 75% reimbursement, but the majority of everything we have is ready to go now. So we should be able to get it in the first phase, which is full reimbursement. The other thing too that I talked to the FEMA guy and Brenda and I had a conversation about is tree removals due to the storm. We can claim that. We can't claim replacements, but we can claim removals. And there's a criteria, and we'll go over it tomorrow. And I think we'll meet that criteria, but here's the thing, they have to be flush cut. It doesn't include removing like the root ball and stump grinding. It has to be flush cut. But if we can recoup that, I think we're gonna be great. We can't do any replacements. It
What are we
doesn't
really
cover that.
recouping though? Because we're not segregating, are we segregating at your cost and putting that in the FEMA thing?
We could do that, or if United is removing some, which they did, then we would recoup the cost that we paid United or any tree service to remove trees. So I feel like we should do that. Let's go over the criteria tomorrow and see if there's, out of the trees, I know you and Carrie went out and did a site audit of a bunch of trees.
There too.
There's a few.
Oh, sorry.
Someone's
making a decision.
And Tom.
Approved it.
Yeah, and so I really think that we need to look at that criteria, so we may be able to submit some tree removals, which will be nice, because we weren't able to do that in the past.
Okay, well, and I would like to understand, getting into the kind of the after action, if you and United are able to cost segregate out your labor, is that something legally we can do to say, hey, even though we're paying you $10 a month, $2 of this month was for tree removal?
Mhm. We can do that. We'll just have to, we'll have to provide a separate invoice to the district
Okay,
and with the scope on there and what we did, and then we can, because that's part of the storm cleanup that you would actually recoup,
and then
because
just reduce your regular bill to us so if we owed you $10 a month, we pay you $8 a year and $2 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially well, no, you wouldn't reduce your bill. What you would do is you're gonna get that money back, right? So you wouldn't reduce your bill because you're paying for staff. So
Right.
we would just bust out the hours that they used for,
We would have two separate bills or breaking apart.
there
That's
you
all.
go,
Okay.
for the stuff we use, but United did the bulk of it, so we have already that covered. So
Okay.
it's nice.
And those first storm we've done with United, everything
No, we did last year's too.
really happened. I think.
We didn't, but we still had storm cleanup.
Okay.
And we did claim a lot of stuff, so, but regardless, yeah.
They did. Okay.
Yep. And I gotta get with them and tell them what they have to put on their invoice, because I think a mistake that they had in another district, it wasn't United, but it was a landscape company. They do an automatic storm cleanup approval, but on their invoice, they put a removal of debris all throughout community instead of on district property. So we couldn't even claim that. It got denied. So I want to make sure that they're putting the right stuff. Not that we're trying to get over, they actually did remove on CDD
Right.
property.
If the word is not correct, we don't
Yeah,
get
if it's not, yeah, they're very, very
Right.
much of a stickler on
Not on the
locations.
street.
That's right, and that's why I put out in my messaging, not on the streets.
That's for you, Russ.
Not on the streets.
That's right.
Any updates on the?
Huh?
You can keep it.
Oh, no, we keep all that.
We might have another
We have
Cassandra
a
star.
wall of shame.
Oh, is that
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, the ones.
Jack's name is already there, it's like this. On there already.
Yeah, anything on the sidewalk?
Sidewalk update.
The sidewalk update, anything in there or?
No, our last pour was October seventh.
Oh,
Our 4 guys, Infomart guys that were dedicated to sidewalks, they've been doing storm cleanup since that day.
No, let's see.
Yeah, maybe 10,000 or 5 or 6
Okay.
years.
Left again.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I only got
Yeah.
4.5 gallons to pour tomorrow. And then all of, we won't have anything open.
For Halloween.
For Halloween.
The goal is to have everything shut by Halloween.
We're even thinking, Kerry, about maybe even moving the dumpster we have up there in North Village and tell them to take it and bring it back.
What about the moat around Jack's house?
We're gonna actually.
That's part of the dumpster is there.
Are you able to sell the concrete? Find anybody to buy the concrete?
Why, you wanna buy concrete?
There's people that buy.
There's,
concrete.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
for their stuff.
You can sell that stuff. You just couldn't get anyone to say, I'll give you some more numbers.
Okay.
How you gonna sell it? You gotta have a truck, you gotta
Yes.
take it to wherever and all that stuff.
Right. Matt and me, if you talk to Junior Davis, they would take your concrete, grind it up and put it in the road that's going in basement.
All right,
We'll call them.
anything else from field? Anything else for field?
Sidewalks will start back up after Halloween,
After Halloween.
right after Halloween.
Okay.
So. We'll
Cool.
be good.
Jack, you've got your sheriff's report in there?
Yep.
Read
I see
away.
that, and Deputy Burns needs to learn how to give tickets.
All right, well,
0 tickets, 0
we'll
citations.
get him in here next meeting.
He gives a lot of verbal warnings.
Legal counsel.
Didn't say that. It's
Yeah, just an update on the Florida DOT. We received 3 of the 4 rescission offers. We're still waiting on the one. I believe it was the $1 million.
Oh, so they're rescinding all 4?
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rescission
If-
offers.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
funny.
We reject your offer.
It may come back in the future.
Yeah.
But as of now, we expect all 4 to be
Do,
rescinded.
when you say it may come back, I mean, is that oh my God, it may come, or are they actually indicating, hey, no, we may come back to you? So, no.
No.
Okay, got it.
He's just trying to make it.
He trying to make you feel.
Just off of the blow.
There you go.
And then just on the revised parking and towing rules, we received some comments, so if anyone else had any other comments, that public hearing is at the next meeting, so.
Yep.
And that's all from us.
Anything else for the attorney? All right, 7.
Marky Mark and your funky bunch.
Just got my usual monthly report, nothing really big there. Really with the post, Milton inspections, Angel asked me to kind of look at all the drainage structures and boardwalks, which we've done. Didn't see any damage to any of the structures. There's 2 skimmers that can't tell if it was hurricane damage or not, but
Let's go with hurricane damage.
one on East Lawn's a little bent, and then there's one on Oak Pond. But one on Oak Pond was in our last annual letter, so.
Oh, okay.
But it looks like maybe you did something with it. Boardwalks, walked them all, saw the 4 locations that were physically damaged by a tree coming down. The rest of the guys have saved them up with, caution tape.
No structural damage to them, just.
There's obviously the railings were damaged.
Right.
1 or 2 of them down to the floor. In one location, actually 2 locations, but one more significant than the other. The floor was damaged. You guys had put down a piece of plywood over that so it could still be open. So you didn't have to close it down. Didn't look like the joist underneath were damaged. That's where I think we can start getting more both structural.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously I'm sure you're planning on rebuilding those back to
Right.
where they were.
Been waiting, he's got one by himself, you know, swear by himself, so he's started freaking out here lately.
Should we have the one open with plywood laying across it?
Yeah.
I just,
It's just got the 2x6 is broke,
okay.
stuck in.
Yeah, it's tapping on, it's screwed down.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking.
Did check a lot of railings as I was walking, pulling on railings. You know, there's some loose railing here or there. I'm sure you're aware of it. Really oak pond. It's probably the worst right when you come in on that one.
I mean, basically, you literally go through and tighten every bolt, there's 2 bolts on every post, and you spend weeks and weeks and weeks.
I pulled on it, if it shook, I kind of leaned my weight into it, didn't hear any cracking or splintering, so it seemed like it's fine for now.
Can you provide that report to us so you can give it to Franklin? And I'm talking to Mark, giving it to
Look at
you.
me, talking
I'm
about-
asking Mark to give it to you. So then we can have Franklin at least go through there and check the bolts and tighten that stuff up too. And yes, that'd be great.
I don't know if Franklin's personnel want going there, because you're walking in weeds and water and all that stuff, and he's not too fond of snakes and whatnot.
Somebody appropriate will do that.
Mhm.
There you go.
Oh, it's in the water?
Yeah, it's kind of not, oh.
Oh, I thought it was the railings he was talking about
It's the railings on the outside down.
at the bottom.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, the bolts all come from the outside, so you got
The wood just dries up after about
Yeah.
15 years, just a little bit, and then they're,
We may have to get somebody to do that. Yeah, I don't know anyone that would be fond of getting in the water.
you know, I've done it before.
Well, I'd like
Me
to
and Al did
volunteer.
it long.
Oh, no.
So Mark's standing up.
Here's the.
There you go.
Well, please.
Didn't identify all the loose railings, because there's just so many of them.
So you just highlighted the whole.
But there's
town, right?
Numbers there, 1 through 6, those
Oh,
are
yeah.
the major ones.
Did the two outfall start, do they have to be replaced? No? Okay.
How was, the East Lawn sidewalk started to wash out? Is there anything to do there?
We're gonna look at it. I think we can improve on it a little bit.
Okay.
It's building up the backside and just getting good compaction, good soft growth. I think when the water comes out of the two structures and it makes that 90-degree turn, it just eats away at that slope.
Washing away.
Can we put rocks there? Or?
I was gonna say, is
I
there something?
think now that,
I have some sidewalk panels we can put through.
somebody that used to work with,
It's got
is
crushed
not
up.
around anymore, we can probably put.
Well, that's a safety structural money issue here, right? I mean, that's.
Can rock go there, Mark, when it comes through to where it doesn't erode that?
Kind of line it like you see some of the city canals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. We need to go to Reed Creek for that.
I didn't hear a yes.
So we would
I didn't hear you.
backfill
Well,
the
maybe put
void.
it right there.
No, I'm saying, but you have to backfill that void in there that's
I already
already.
did that.
Oh, you're, okay. So now just
It's a
put
snow.
the rock
Keep it
in.
from happening easy.
Well, I'm
Well, the slope
glad
is
I
still
was there.
ours. That's not the, Reedy Creek doesn't start until you get actually to the wood line, correct? So if we're just talking about the
Correct.
slope, I don't know why we need.
Well, why do we need?
It's the drainage,
approval for
yeah.
it?
I already said that.
I could tell you
already said
right
that.
away,
Why
Rob.
do we need Reedy Creek to tell us no when we're going to put a clay?
Well, he's on a roll now.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I guess.
No, agreed. Yeah.
Why did they deny our emergency pump down, but yet South Florida said yes?
So that was question number 2.
Yep.
I did put that one to Jan just to say, hey, as part of the after action thing between everybody here, we need to find a way that we're not scrambling on a Sunday morning phone call where I'm calling Mark saying, holy.
The problem is you can't do that. We can't do those well in advance.
Jan seemed convinced when I talked to her, there's a reasonable legal thing that she could do to say, hey, we could do a blanket.
Oh.
That's what I said, talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
That'll be part of our.
I've never heard of that, but if we can do it.
Initially, South Florida said no, because flooding hadn't occurred yet.
That's right.
But we knew it was gonna potentially occur.
Mhm.
And they said, well, once it does occur, call us and we'll give you verbal approval.
Right.
That's the point of that.
Yeah.
Let us know when you're out call.
And last minute,
Well,
they decided to change their mind, maybe because they thought it was, stressed that it was a hurricane shelter.
Yeah. And that's what I said, I think if the school district needed to do an
And
amended
we got
letter.
the letter.
I think that was probably what pushed them, because that was sort of the timing. If they did an amended letter that said, hey, can you please do this in perpetuity? We'd probably get some, hopefully the county would ever respond to that, because then. But, okay. All right.
So water management overrides Reedy Creek.
Well, water management, who is the one that issues that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reedy Creek's kind of the first step, they're the kind of the master permit holder, so. if
Yeah.
Reedy Creek agreed, then they may have taken that and they would have submitted it to the water management.
Are they the master permit holder for all of our ponds or just those over there? The school one and then the one on East Lawn.
Yeah, I think it's all.
So all of them? So they're the permitting.
It's in the base.
Okay.
Well, permittee still may have been the developer,
It's Celebration Company.
but it's their permit.
Okay.
It's the overall.
Cause what I sent out, the permittee is Celebration Company. But
And that's
then
because it drains into their wetlands, is that the logic?
And their,
their whole thing,
river.
yeah.
Their water control district,
Their
they
creek.
locks down, they control the flow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
so we have to go through them for really anything that we want to do. First stop, okay.
So I'll ask the
Especially
question,
if you ask them, like,
I'm sure.
and the other one, Angel, kind of a Mark, kind of a you, the railing over by 851 that
Yeah, that's
so
damaged.
unfortunate that took a tree hit.
So, we're,
Oh, the green fence.
yeah, and unfortunately, it goes for so long that, it's extended way over here and the damage, the whole rail has to be replaced.
up.
So,
And is this the one that has the drop off on either side?
Unfortunately, yeah.
it damaged that whole section.
All 300 feet of it.
Yep, so
There's gotta be structural damage underneath there to win it.
everything, it
That's
is.
such a shame.
It is, so, now I have to look and
Stay
see
out
if
of
we're
that.
claiming that on
Oh
FEMA.
my gosh.
If we're claiming it on FEMA or if we're gonna claim it on the district insurance, that whole railing. So, you need cost, which we may already have to do the railing all the way around that was damaged. So,
It was pretty well beat up.
oh, yeah, it
Yeah,
was. I mean, I
The
had
thing is,
Trees.
a tree went through.
Yeah. All things.
Let me take some pictures of the ones in Island Village, which are really bad.
Yeah, I bring them on.
Well, speaking of Island Village,
Phase 2A.
phase 2A bridge.
Yep.
Just put in.
Yeah,
It's got green
When's your
railing
next
on
Mattamy?
both sides, all the way
When's your
down.
next Mattamy meeting, by the way?
Wednesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know, I have to look. at my-
today's Tuesday, you didn't have one, so.
Alright, so it's Wednesday or Thursday.
Send me
It
an
is
invite.
getting late.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's-
it's
But I saw the letter went up for the bridge.
Any reaction to that?
We haven't received anything yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. They haven't reached out to me.
Okay, what's next?
I'm sure Tanner will bring it up in the.
Yeah, I kinda wanna go to the next
There's
one.
not been turned over to us yet, it's phase 2A.
No, we're talking about the bridge.
We're
They
talking
have
about
the
the original.
You'll hear about that this week.
Yeah,
I'm sure Tanner will.
What number are we on?
We're on 9F liaisons, any liaison reports? No, discussion items. No, master planning updates. Don't have any. 9F.
No.
Do we have any 90 master planning items? No. All right,
Nope.
9F liaison reports. Discussion items. Other business, update supervisor comments.
I do have a quick question.
Mhm.
Next month's meeting, are we gonna be impacted by any work that's going on with AD or floors or anything? Do we need to relocate or are we good?
To my knowledge, no. They've already been paid their deposit. The deposit was released on October 4th. So they have ordered all the equipment. They should be in and it shouldn't take them but a day. And they plan on starting early and being out if it is a meeting day or right before. They plan on having it done by the next meeting. So we shouldn't be impacted. And if we are for some reason, I'll let everyone know. But right now they're saying no.
House is available. Actually, Cassandra is a neutral place now.
Oh, yeah.
See, as soon as you leave, they suck you back in.
Sandra, I'll buy the one.
Public comment period. Anybody from the public? Going once, going twice. Brenda, anybody on the line?
There's no one on the line, not even
Brenda's not on the
Brenda.
line.
No, she had choir.
Oh, she acquired.
So moved.
Okay.
All right,
8:53.
thank
So
you.
Tom, you didn't get a second.
I second.
Jack,
So everybody
All
stay
right.
here.
Cassandra, you could have seconded.
8:53.
You got last official action.
Oh,
She's already halfway out the door.
Did anything this meeting